we are live on a Tuesday morning. Good morning, everybody. Bakh'abantu and I are in the studio. We get a surprise guest popping by in just a moment or two, and we have a lot to get to. A lot. It's going to be a busy morning of Africanalysis with Jean-Jacques Cornish a little bit later on. We also want to hear from you on the comments section, or in the comments section, as the case may be. Just get hold of us over there. I see some people already up and about first thing this morning. Excellent, excellent. These are the people I take seriously. People
Look at you, you're so professional today. I'm
people
so
have
impressed.
things to do. People who have places to go. What do you mean you're impressed today? What, the rest of the time I'm sitting on my ass doing nothing?
Basically, like today, you're like, we've got Africanalysis. I'm like, look at you, Rush Limbaugh.
What do I usually do?
Like,
Don't you listen to the show?
I do. Like, let's get with it, fuckers. Like that's
Well,
the
I mean, what? So you mean I'm more polite than I usually am?
Yeah, you're very.
I don't think you've thought this through. I think you can start the show again because your contribution so far has been absolutely pointless. So Bakh'abantu was saying to me just now, because we put on the aircon in the studio, it's starting to get warm in the mornings, so that's nice. Summer's coming. So he said, whatever happened to that conspiracy theory that we were sold as absolute truth, that we were destroying the ozone layer with all our air conditioning? You remember chlorofluorocarbons?
Exactly.
CFCs?
CFCs growing up, that's all I heard.
And it was that. So it was air conditioners and it was hairspray.
Yeah, aerosols.
Remember, like women with hairspray were, listen, it was the 80s.
Oh, they had the big puffy hair.
So the big poofy hair was a big thing. But yeah, they were convinced. And I mean, listen, chlorofluorocarbons, which are a very ugly kind of chemical.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they removed a lot of them from the aerosols. Yeah. And they were destroying the ozone layer. But the ozone layer has not only repaired itself, it's thicker than it's ever been. So we're more protected by that layer of ozone than we've ever been. Al Gore, you lying sack of shit.
Well, that's why we didn't vote for Al Gore, right?
I would love someone to go and get Al Gore and say to him, all right, come with me to Florida, where you said they'd be underwater.
Yeah.
Let me put you on the dry land and show you how wrong you were.
Wait, don't they have like artificial islands also in Florida? So we have more land?
More land. And I'll take you to the Arctic, where they have apparently, it's the Antarctic. They've had record numbers of, what would you call it? Coverage of pack ice in the Antarctic. So all of these people who have been telling us, we gonna die. CFCs, melting ice caps, underwater coastal cities, tsunamis, and God knows what else. Less people have died from climate-related events than at any point in recorded history. Ever since we've been recording the climate, there's never been less death as a result of climate than there is right now. So I demand that Al Gore, someone goes to that big old house of his in Tennessee or wherever he is, where he invented the internet, because he claims to have done that too. Pull that man out of retirement and say to him, right, before you even go to your grave or whatever else you've got planned for the rest of this year, we demand an apology.
Yeah.
An Inconvenient Truth is my book. He was so robotic. I mean, he was Clinton's vice president.
Yeah.
And then he ran against George W. Bush. You know how useless and uninteresting you have to be to lose to George W. Bush?
Do you know why he lost? Like people are like,
Florida.
He's boring, and we don't want to have a beer with him.
The Chads in Florida. No. There was apparently like all kinds of voter irregular activity, and there was the machines weren't counting the votes properly. That was the big conspiracy theory in 2000 when he ran against George W. Bush. Anyway, listen, we could talk about that nonsense later, but I do want to hear from Al Gore eventually. He was in the Antarctic apparently in 2020. He had talks there with the Catholic and Orthodox popes. Well, because the only people who will listen to him are other religious nutcases, because he's a religious nutcase for the environment. He's a pagan environment worshiper.
What did I come singing? Let me tell you about Jesus and what he's done for me.
Yeah, you did. Look, Ryan's waiting at the door. Like, are you guys going to shut up so I can bring in the guest? Well, let us see who's in the guest. In the building
inside the guest
this morning. Who's in the guest that they're going to bring in this morning? Here he is. the excellent Stevel Marc.
Yeah, man.
How the hell are you, my friend?
How you doing, Bridget?
Nice to see you, bro.
Good to see you, man.
Good.
Good, Bridget.
My Jamaican brother.
Yeah, man.
That's right.
100%.
You remember that last conversation we had about my grandmother?
Yeah.
You remember that I said to you, that's how we're related.
Must be
Right.
something in the water. That's why you have
There's something in the water. I listened to an old recording because my grandfather used to make those reel-to-reel, like those old movie cameras.
Yeah.
He used to record like family movies.
Oh, wow.
And we had a whole bunch of them converted like years ago into actual, like, you know, digital stuff that you
Yeah.
could read now. Because I mean, who has a projector in their house in 2023?
You'd be surprised.
And I heard a recording of my grandmother for the first time since she died in when I was 9 or 10.
Wow.
And she had that little lilt in her voice that's very Caribbean.
Wow, man. That must have been a moment for you, too.
It's very special. You get goosebumps,
Yeah.
you know,
That's what I'm
because
thinking.
that's someone you haven't heard the voice of since you were a child. So
Yeah.
some part of you remembers it,
Absolutely.
but it's wild. So how are you, Stevel Marc?
Oh,
Look
I'm
at you. You look
great, man.
fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're still killing it?
Can't stop. You good?
I'm good.
Yeah, this is
All right.
Oh, you see,
Bakh'abantu.
thank
Bakh'abantu.
you. Someone giving me props on this
Yeah,
show for
it's
looking
important,
great.
man. It's important.
He's looking
Yeah.
great. What the standards drop.
This is Stevel Marc saying I look great. I'll
We have
take
to-
it.
He looks
we
like
have
he's been
to
drinking a lot of water, guys. He's been
We have
going
to
the gym.
we have to start our morning by lying to each other. Is this what you want?
I gave you a compliment when the show started. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, man.
Wow. All right, so let's just remind everybody this is the actor, the author, the model, the photographer, and he is actually we're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
When that show that because we did a thing with Canon not so long ago. We were
All
talking
right,
about
picture perfect. Yeah.
Picture
Perfect picture.
perfect.
Perfect picture. Yeah, there we go.
and
Perfect picture.
perfect picture, and we were talking to some of the people who were on there.
Mm,
La Sizwe,
Yeah.
who ended up winning it.
mm.
Hell of a show, and
Indeed.
you were involved there.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Yeah.
That was really good fun.
What was your involvement?
Well, I just went as a photographer, so I was teaching
But didn't
these
you
guys.
do also? You were like a bit. You were judging one of the things.
Yeah, I was a
and-
guest judge. I was a guest judge. So I
Sort of
came
thing.
in like, here's what I've learned over the last 3 years, imparting the knowledge. That's good fun.
Are you? I mean, are you just so busy at the moment that you can't help yourself, or is there room for more stuff?
That's the thing. And I guess you can relate to this. You have moments where it's like completely dead and you're like, okay, is this it? This is where it ends.
Mm.
And then you have moments where it's like, you can't even take a second to wipe your ass. It's crazy. It's just like,
I
it's
certainly
mad.
hope you wiped your ass before
It's
you
like
came in
mad.
here.
It's crazy.
Well, I just fist bumped you. Like, I don't know.
It's all over you now. Yeah, but that's been wild. But then you get great stuff like One Piece, and
Sure.
it's just come out on Netflix, and it's just
So let's
it's
just talk about this.
crazy what it's been
This
doing.
is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
For people who don't know, there is a whole universe of entertainment that some of us are just completely ignorant of,
Mm.
and they're probably it's like the gaming world. I just
Yeah.
don't understand. I'm not a gamer, so I just
I
don't
love
get it.
gaming, man.
No,
Well,
no,
I mean, I'm probably terrible
So-
because
so
all I want to do
mo-
is play FIFA. But okay,
Most people do. Most especially guys. Most guys they do something. PS3, whatever it might be.
yeah. We're up to
Play
PS5
some
right
kind
now.
of
Five.
game, right?
Yeah, we're at
We're at
5
five
right
now?
now. But
I
okay,
don't
yeah.
fucking
Keep up
know.
with that.
Don't get me caught up in the detail of this. The fact is,
Yeah.
like if you don't play games
Yeah.
and you're not part of that community, because
Yeah.
everything's called a community these days, even
Yeah.
though these people want nothing to do with each other, they're competing with each
Yeah, it's
other.
all community, right?
It's a massive thing. The gaming world generates more money than movies and music put together,
Have you seen
It's just wild.
esports?
and sport. In fact,
And sports, yeah.
it's that big.
Yeah.
Esports huge.
Yeah.
And then people playing these first-person shooter games or
Mhm.
these
Third person.
third person, whatever it might be. And these are what apparently are driving that online economy in a big way.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
now you've done a show, Netflix.
Mhm.
This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Japanese manga and anime live action TV hit. It's called One Piece. This is
Yes,
what you were
sir.
talking about just now. It's
Mm.
been watched more than 18 million times in the first 4 days.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
partly filmed in Cape Town.
Yeah.
But anime and manga that's not live action as in
No. So,
acting.
I
It's
mean-
it's animated.
It's animated. So, I mean, manga, you could probably say that's our version of a comic book.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, so it's a
yeah.
Japanese version. It's called a manga. I mean, that in itself sold over 500 million copies. So that tells you the fan base that these guys had.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. That alone was 500 million copies. And then they went ahead and they were like, okay, cool, let's do a live action of that. So which is where we have people now, live action.
Yeah.
And I get to play the great Yasop, which is one of these amazing characters, man. For us to just like come and take all these records is just unbelievable. Because I mean, Wednesday had the record for a minute there, and then we were just like gone. And then Stranger Things season 4 was kind of like we just took that too, like So yeah, I mean, season 2 was commissioned literally within what, a week.
So what do you do? You do the voice?
No,
No, it's
actual
live
action,
action.
full on
He's
action,
acting.
full on acting.
Explain to me how it works.
So you take.
So he's an actor, Gareth.
No,
and
no,
then
no,
he reads the script,
Listen,
and then he
don't
pretends.
you pretend like you suddenly know. What are you? Are you fucking Wes Anderson?
So you literally go and you make a series or a film of it. So it's a series of the thing. You go and you turn these cartoon characters into real people, so they come to life. That's essentially it.
And you reckon that this experience must have been pretty wild, because what you see on the screen, and this is the point I was getting to, is not what you actually are recording necessarily, because what it turns out looking like is not at all what it looks like when you're filming it.
Well, I mean, the guys we work with, the team was absolutely incredible. And Sensei Oda, who's the creator of the manga, he was hands-on with this, and which was what was amazing for me too. So to be selected to play this role by the guy who created this, it's just like,
that's fantastic.
Yeah,
what a compliment.
Yeah, I mean, it has the Guinness World Record for most episodes in anime. It's still running,
Yeah.
so
It's still going on.
It's still going on. I mean, we're on literally, I think, 1,300 and something episode at this point. So the show could go on for a further 12, 13 seasons. I mean, we had eight episodes for season 1, which was only 100 episodes from the manga. So that goes to show you.
Well, I mean, Hardy Dave says here, for example, Ubisoft is full of predictive programming, pandemics, cults, surveillance, wars, etc. I dig Assassin's Creed. You can explore ancient cities.
Yeah.
That Assassin's Creed,
which is actually pretty cool.
Over 20 million games have been sold in just the last couple of days, apparently.
Yeah.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
People want to get away from their lives sometimes, man. You get to tap into that space and you could just escape it all for, an hour or 2 or 3 or whatever it may be.
JP says, what an amazing show. Well done to you and the crew. Best live remake I've seen. Sure.
It is.
Thanks.
It buried Star Wars. That's when I knew you guys had it.
Oh, thanks, man.
It killed Ahsoka.
That's great, hey?
Yeah, thank you, Jesus. That's wow. You gave me chills. Look at you giving me chills so early in the morning. Thank you.
First thing, wow.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, I mean, look, and I love that show. I love Ahsoka, but I guess what it was for us, we knew that if we got it right, we would just blow up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all knew that. So, I mean, obviously you're excited, but you're nervous because we all saw what happened with Bebop. You know what I mean? It's like you think it's cool. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then the super fans were like, nah,
this is not it.
And so they had to cancel it. So that's what you face here is that people, it's kind of like watching a Red Bull commercial. They always use animated because they didn't want to put a face to it, right? Because you created your own kind of
they don't want to be
persona.
Then they have to pay that person for eternity.
Well, there's also that too. But also I think with cartoons, because if I think of Tom and Jerry right now, I could put whatever I want in my head. Yeah. And it's that thing. So when we saw Luffy, when we saw Yasop, when we saw Usopp, all these people, it was for you to create. Yeah. And so it's kind of like when you go live action now, someone's going, but that's not who I saw.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Those fans are either they absolutely love it and they're on your side, or they will destroy it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And if the fans, the super fans, as you call them, turn on you, you've just got
it's done, man. It's done. So it's really amazing that the show is well received, and we're getting all this hype, and it's been pretty awesome. And it's wild too, because I mean, again, you've been living this forever, but it's wild. Before the show even came out, people started doing their own Twitter investigation. It's like, no, but he's following him, so therefore, Gareth, he's definitely playing that role, right? And it's just like, damn, this is wow.
Yeah. So how deep into this world did you have to get in order to understand the characters? Because I mean, again, if you don't come at it from a position of knowledge, you have to do a lot of homework.
Oh,
so you know what you're talking about.
Right? So when I auditioned for the role, I did not know what it was. I could tell you that much now. I had no flippant idea. And then the guy who was doing, because I actually did a self tape for this, and he's like, you know what this is, right? And I was like, no. And I was like, I don't want to know, because I didn't want to freak out. Yeah. I didn't want to freak out. And so when I had the call back, even then, I mean, they had to do a little bit of research to see the director that you're working with. And then again, you look at this guy's reel, and you're just like, oh my gosh, because he's done so much for the Marvel comic universe. And so you know that you're in safe hands, right? And I look at the producer and you look at he's done stuff like Lost from back in the day.
Sure.
And you're just like, but everything that he's done, you're looking at it going, this guy hasn't missed. So
it's a big budget production?
Oh,
Are we talking
absolutely.
like millions and millions of dollars?
Billions.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
No
Jesus.
CGI.
I mean, you do realize the president came to visit the set.
What, Cyril?
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, because we brought that money.
Did he
But
drag?
no,
Did he
because
drag the whole
Be
feeling
nice.
down?
Be nice.
I don't see why it should be nice.
Be nice.
Did he hear billion and
Billy,
then he
listen.
thought?
Yeah.
I'm
He thought,
just
it's like,
be nice.
woo, here
No,
comes my
no,
chance to get my dirty
the
little
fact
paws
is-
into that billion.
No, Gareth. The fact is that it brought in so much into the country, and so it was nice of him to come over and say thanks.
Oh, nice of him.
Yes, it was
That's
very
what he
nice.
should be doing.
It
What
was nice. It's nice to come and say thanks.
Let's stop pussyfooting around these politicians. They work for us. I don't know if you're impressed. If he pitched up here now, I'd say to him, "What value are you bringing here?"
Maybe you should invite him over.
I don't want to.
Oh, come
listen,
on, it'd be good.
Can I
Actually,
tell you
that'd be a
something?
Great conversation. Can you imagine that?
I must be perfectly honest with you. Like a year ago,
Mhm.
maybe 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I was still putting out feelers. I mean, we've had the first lady here a couple of times
Okay.
off the record just to visit. We've spoken to cabinet ministers, all those kinds of things in the past. I don't know if I'm going to get anything of value out of this president. I really don't.
Okay, but that's okay
I don't think
too.
anything.
But
I don't
that's
think
okay.
anything he could say to us right now is going to make anyone in South Africa feel.
Well,
Oh, okay,
I mean,
well,
I
he's doing his job.
wouldn't generalize the entire South Africa, but I'm just saying because again, it's relative, right? Depending on how much knowledge you have.
Well, of course, if you're
Right,
impressed
so-
by someone's title and job
I knew it was going to. Here we
and
go.
their
I knew it was going.
and their ill-fitting suit, but then you're a moron, and you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't have a vote in a democracy. Is my point of view.
I guess that's the joy of democracy, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Listen to
See?
these comments from people. They love
All
this. So
cool.
Roxanne says, with Epic Games, anyone can create their own game. No programming knowledge needed.
Yeah.
And it's free. Zach says, how's the SA developed games and anime market doing? Case in question,
I think it's supposed to be Boot Fighter.
Butt Fighter, for example.
yeah. God.
Okay, so I don't know any of the answers to any of those questions, but and I
Yeah, I'm
frankly
right there in that box
Looks
for
like,
him
looks
too.
like hieroglyphics.
Yeah. So here, I also thought I was getting some hentai. It turns out Ian Fleming writes novels.
Not hentai.
What's that?
No,
Hentai is like Japanese porn.
that's Japanese porn.
cartoon
Animated porn.
Yeah, that's animated porn. That's animated porn. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
And then on that
Listen,
note, like and
so
subscribe.
these guys are they Americans or Japanese?
Altogether, that's the joy of it. That's the joy of it.
Okay, I know it's mixed up, but like the guy who wrote the
Oh, Japanese.
Okay.
Full on Japanese.
and he tells you how he wants the characters to come across. And
well,
he
that's
tells
what he
you
would have
he'd
done with
like.
the creative team. I mean, but by the time,
and then they tell you.
yeah, by the time we get
But
there,
did you have anything to do with him at all?
well, yeah, you meet him. He comes by.
Oh,
Comes
okay.
by. Yeah, yeah. I
Alright.
mean, and then the
Oh.
rehearsal into the.
You disgrace my family.
No, stop it.
Oh.
No.
Does he just sit there disapproving you?
No, one of the most amazing guys you'll meet. Absolutely amazing. But honestly, like again, when you get to the creative process where we are at that level, it's already written. It's they already know what they want. I mean, we had like really cool lens developed for this, for example. So we were using lenses that weren't even out yet. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So you know, like if you're this close to someone, it'll be all distorted and stuff.
Yeah.
Not for us. The lens that we had created, and it was Carl Weiss that did those for them in Germany, and they were absolutely amazing. So even
Wow.
the way with the fight sequences were shot were almost like a dance. So, you know, normally if I'm doing a punch scene, I'm gonna cut you here and then jump back to the other side to make it look like you took that punch.
Uh-huh.
Whilst the way we did this, everything was one dance. So the camera guy was literally
Wow.
dancing with you. You'd just be in motion
In
and
between.
pause, wait
One
for him to
shot.
swing around, one shot all the way through. All the way
Damn,
through.
that's amazing.
So it literally felt like a game, essentially.
It did because like
Yeah.
apparently like what I read is that like all the sets were like created. This is
Yeah,
why it's
yeah,
billions
yeah.
of dollars.
Oh,
because
yeah, man.
They created things from scratch and everything has become CGI so much. So this was like that's why it blew everything out of the water.
Yeah, no, they wanted everything to feel as real as
Real
possible.
Like
And that's
the
the
stuff
joy
is
of it.
really
Yeah.
you guys were interacting.
Oh, absolutely, man. Even the guns, when we were training, we actually had the guns. So we didn't have like fake rubber stuff. We had the real stuff to feel the weight of it. I was very precise on that as well. You know what I mean? So even so to give you an example, the fight sequence in the restaurant,
Yeah.
we had 5 days scheduled to shoot that. 5 days. We shot that in half a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
They made the budget people would have been thrilled.
Oh no, they were. But it's also great for you as an actor because the directors go, that's the guy I want to work with again because they take their work seriously.
Yeah, and you can get shit done quickly.
Pretty much. I mean, if you're in a day rate,
Because usually
it sucks because you're just like,
I've-
fucking lost out on 4 days work, but
yeah,
it looks
but
great.
I've been on sets before, and there's a lot of wasted time. People
Yeah.
sitting around going over nonsense, having to redo something 50 times because there's some idiot in production who doesn't like the way it's working. It's a lot of nonsense. I mean, let's just face it. For people who don't know, I mean, I don't know anything about the movie business.
Yeah.
But there is so much. There is so much goes on in a movie that you don't see in the finished product.
Oh no, you don't. But
Craft service, catering,
it's so much.
That's why the catering guy was crying.
It's
Like,
the catering guy was really pissed off with you that you did that scene in one day.
We see there's also that, but also, you know, when you're at this level, you're being paid appropriately, if you want to put it that way.
Finally.
Yeah. well, and I mean, some people are still not being paid appropriately, but again, you know, thanks to my team, I will thank them. But you're at a level where you could just sit here and, to use your word, pussyfoot around, or you could just get it done and move on because there's no need to waste time. You're being professional about what needs to be done. You know, and
So
you're right.
gonna-
I have been on those productions where you're just like, guys, why are we still here 5 hours later? This could have been shot an hour ago. You know, so you know, at least at this level, you don't
You
have
have
to
to
worry
be
about
in
stuff like that.
you have to be in pretty good condition then to do some of these fight scenes and things.
Oh,
right?
absolutely,
You
man.
can't be like a little bit fat, a little bit slow.
No. But I mean, again, it depends on the role, and I think that's what they did a really great job at. Is that when you look at the cast? So, for example, Lucky Roo and myself, we would always travel together because our characters were always close in terms of the anime.
Yeah.
So we would be bantering each other
So
on the way to
chemistry,
set, on the way
Get to know
back.
each other.
Exactly. And then, so for example, the way I keep my body, I normally keep my body at about 90 kgs. So that way, if I need to put on, it's a quick one. If I need to drop, it's a quick one. So there's all these stuff. Sanji, for example, in the anime, he had to literally learn to cook. He was out there training. Very interesting one for you. So the guy who plays Sanji, well, that's Sanji because Sanji's from the UK. So he speaks Spanish as well. So the dubbing was also done by him for the Spanish version, right? And then our Japanese dude, he also did the English and the Japanese version of that. Oh, and he's a real samurai guy. Like he actually,
Really?
yeah. Professional.
He just brought Gareth back into the conversation. He said samurai.
Yeah,
It's like he just said
really?
swords.
I don't know what you people are talking about.
Yeah. So that part is awesome.
And when you do this stuff and you have to travel with somebody because you're doing a lot of scenes with them and all the rest of it, do you find yourself doing method acting like off screen, like those people like Daniel Day-Lewis, who does this?
Jared
Leto, these assholes who like they behave like that character. You have to call them by the character name. Off screen, they sit there and they're still in character. They wear the outfit. I mean, like they said, Daniel Day-Lewis was walking around when he did
Abraham
that.
Lincoln.
When he did the Lincoln movie, he was wearing around that stovepipe hat the whole fucking time.
Yeah,
and they had to keep addressing him as Mr. President. So he's sitting in the tent having like, I don't know, oats.
Yeah, because he also wants to feel like the real food from back in the day.
He's having his oats.
Guess, you know,
someone's
look,
like,
some of
Mr.
the
President,
guys,
would you come with me?
So some of the guys go really hard with it. You know, I don't go that hard. You know, whether it be an audition for me, whether it be I just got off set from the day's work, I tend to take a minute or two just to I'll sit in my trailer for a little bit. I sit in my trailer for a little bit just to get rid of that character for a little bit.
Let's not be stupid about this because everybody has a way of getting into character.
Yeah.
I would never be able to be an actor, but I can only imagine that if you want to get your head into this character, it takes you a couple of minutes before you go on screen, before they start rolling the cameras. You have to get like your head right. And then when you finish, you kind of have to get out of that character.
Yeah.
Because you commit completely, right? If I mean, unless you're a shitty half-assed actor who's like doing a cameo role and you don't really have to think about it very much.
But even then, that little cameo role is important. I always say to people, there's no such thing as a small role. It's written for a reason. the
Now
color
that
you're
you can
wearing.
get any extra to do it.
No, Gary, I promise you.
But like what? Like
Because-
guy
because-
number 3 in the crowd. Like he's
No,
telling you
but
that
I
there's no small role.
promise you, no,
This is his big
I
break.
promise
He's
you,
gonna be
there's
like,
there's no small role. I always say, even the extras in the back. Think about it. Without the extras back there, it's completely. It's kind of like your backdrop right now. Without that backdrop, it's just a wall.
No, we used to have the wall.
Yeah, and it's the reason why you change it because this looks better.
Well, they told
right?
them to change
So it's one of those things.
No,
It's one of
I
those
agree with you.
things.
So even
It's
if-
important. But
even
but
if
to answer
you-
your question straightforward, I wouldn't consider myself a method actor.
Okay.
However, I do consider myself an actor who prepares.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my thing is.
Take your
And,
cross
and
seriously.
one of the other things about this that makes it interesting is that to film in South Africa is way cheaper than
Yeah.
filming anywhere else. Plus, if you were in America, you would have been hampered by that's all kinds of protests going on.
SAG-AFTRA.
So strikes and
Well,
Prices
that's
right.
the thing. I mean,
Here
even
we're
that
like,
though.
go ahead.
No,
strike.
no,
We'll
no.
just get someone else.
But I promise you, even then, it doesn't work that way. I promise you, it still doesn't work that way. Because even for us, I think it was the last scene of episode 6 weren't finished. They weren't finished shooting that yet, and all the American people had to get off set.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was so thankfully, but at that point we're in post production, so it's being done in Japan or it's being done in. So
Oh,
it's
good.
okay,
You just
but
export it to somewhere else.
no,
Bye-bye.
Ship it off-
no,
ship it off to a
no,
cheaper
Stupid
country.
Americans.
no, that's
You
not
stupid
that's not what it
Americans.
is, Gary. I
Well,
promise you.
A lot of them lost out on work
Yeah.
as a result of that.
But Gary, here's what's going on. As an actor, for example, I mean, because I am what they call SAG eligible right now, so I can join a unit at any point. So it's kind of like you wait for as long as you can before you kind of like lock away to the unit.
Yeah.
Because once you lock in, you can't shoot anything that's non-union,
Yeah.
right? But think about it. What we're fighting for, or what globally we're fighting for, is for. So the last thing they presented was, okay, Gareth, we want to, while you're coming in for this shoot, we are gonna take your likeness.
Yeah.
All right. And from henceforth and forever, we will use your likeness along with your voice, however we want to, whenever we want to, on any future film, and we're not going to pay you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So what? I have no sympathy for you. None whatsoever.
That's why you didn't sign, but that's why you don't sign.
No, I wouldn't. And
That's why you don't sign. You
I
see what I'm
hate
saying?
unions. No, let me tell you why I think it's a problem. It's because if you work for like some auditing firm
Yeah.
and you spend, 48 hours trying to figure out where some, money was stolen or something was, that is forevermore your work that you've given them. That's time that you will never get back.
Mhm.
Where you get paid for it. That's
Whack.
where I don't.
Okay.
Call the
So
ambulance.
tomorrow, funnily
Mhm.
enough, I think it's tomorrow. We've got a friend of mine and she also feels like you do about this.
Yeah.
Is it this week? Might be next week. Oh no, it's on Friday. Shamila Miller's coming in,
Okay.
who's also an actor, and she's a friend of mine. She's very keen to come and fight with me about exactly this.
Okay.
Because obviously she's an actress as well.
Mhm.
She agrees with you. Like I do see that. This is part of your they're taking your face, they're taking your expressions, they're
Mhm.
taking your character that you've made.
Yeah.
You've largely created yourself, even though it's based on a character someone else has written.
Mhm.
And then they get to use that. But then, I mean, that used to happen all the time in voiceovers, and there's probably stuff that I recorded ages
Mhm.
ago for
No,
TV
It's still
that
going
they
on.
can keep using. In fact,
But-
I see
but
it
that's the
pop
problem.
up
But
on
that's- but-
TikTok.
but
I
that's-
don't get money from that.
But gee, that's the problem here. So here's the thing. For example, you come to work, you have a salary, you know exactly what you're getting, you do your work, and you go home.
Actually, we've never paid him.
You see,
I wish.
so in the words of Gareth, I feel no
Unionized.
sympathy for you, because if you took that on, then hey, buddy, that's on your terms. So that's
It's
exactly
indentured
the
labor.
point. But the difference is, Gary, the difference is that they're not recording you as per that specific performance. I am taking you on a separate green screen, and I'm taking your likeness, which is what I then put onto whatever I want going forward. So, for example, South Africa doesn't have a union.
Yeah.
Well,
So I can
wait
pay-
till we generate AI characters. We won't need any of these actors.
But that's the problem. You still need me. So don't use me then.
Well, maybe
Go create a random
so,
stone.
so maybe at some point they won't need me or you.
Yeah.
Pretty
and-
much is where they're trying to tell us they're trying to get to.
And if that happens,
Keep
where?
saying
We have
where.
to find something new to do.
Absolutely. But I'm saying, as long as my face, my voice, or any part of me is being used, I'm gonna need you to pay me for that, sir.
So let me blow your mind real
Please.
quick. So I'm a scientist.
Okay.
And so I signed this waiver. Anything I discover,
Mhm.
like, okay,
Belongs
so
to the company.
yeah, it belongs to the company.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
like
that.
that
but that's because
Vodacom,
you're with the
please call
company.
me guy.
Please call me guys.
If-
If I were to discover the cure for cancer tomorrow,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it belongs to them.
Yeah, it belongs to them because that's the company you work for, and you sign it in a contract that says whatever you create during this time belongs to us.
But
It's kind of like
what's
when you're doing a
difference
thesis,
between
it's the
you
same
guys,
principle.
It's the same principle. If you guys don't want to work on my production,
But that's what I'm saying. Then we don't. But that's exactly what's happening.
yeah,
So
but
we're
why are you
fighting.
striking then?
No, we're striking
just
because
don't work.
no, because we're saying if you want us to be a part, Gareth, look how crazy this is.
You know who the head of the Screen Actors Guild was?
Yeah.
I saw her on TV. I'm like, wow,
Hmm?
okay. Remember the nanny,
Yeah.
Fran Drescher?
Yes. Yeah.
She was like the head of the Screen Actors Guild. Mr. Shelby.
But I loved her boy. I loved her
loved
nanny.
it.
I
It was
love the
so
nanny.
weird.
I'm
It was
just
so
saying I love the
scratchy
nanny. I
and
love
so
the
weird,
nanny.
But like she was,
I
I
love
think
the
by
nanny.
awakening.
But
was-
G, all I'm saying is people need to be paid. People need to be paid appropriately.
All right,
That's all
well-
I'm saying. So, for example, you can't want. They asked for 57 cents. 57 cents is what it would have cost Netflix, for example.
Supply and demand. They don't get to make the call. Carl says, Gareth, you're being unreasonable. This is theft. You need
Absolutely.
to pull yourself towards yourself. If
Thank
you
you.
discover the cure for cancer after you leave, does it still belong to them?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the way by side.
But I guess your name will always be on it if they feel like it.
Well, they may give him a Nobel Prize or something, but that's not going to pay him what they're going to make off of the
So
But
like
G-
just to stop playing around, right?
Yeah.
Like so in terms of the strike, what I do get like with companies like
Yeah.
so the way Hollywood has worked, the way acting has worked, it's kind of changed because when we went to streaming, that also changed with your guys' revenues and whatnot. Because
Absolutely.
Netflix doesn't pay you for royalties.
There's no royalties with Netflix
because they don't disclose how much
And
they
that's my
shot. Like,
point.
yeah, they tell you, oh, One Piece made 400 million hits.
Listen,
But-
just yesterday we discovered the SABC has not paid any artists
Well,
any royalties
But that's my point.
for the last
Gareth.
10 years.
Forget about 10 years. Do you know when I came to South Africa? This was what, 2001 was my first trip out here. I would meet people like Tamisha Marsha. I would meet people like Connie Frank. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you from Jamaica. And they're like, what you talking about? I'm like, bro, Generations is in Jamaica. They're like, what?
You've been pirating
And
it.
then- no, it's the same generation just being pushed out over there. But
And they're not
again,
being paid for
no,
it.
they're not being paid for it. So I'm saying to you, that's
Well-
where we are, because don't forget the law as per South Africa was written before TV was even available in South Africa. You see how crazy that
See,
is?
the fact is, like, you can, if you Bakh'abantu and you want to go and start your own little lab, start doing your own research and discover a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
And it's all on your own auspices. You get to keep the money.
Sure.
If you go and work in someone else's lab, you use their resources, you use the network that you're involved in there, you have
Down
people,
to the computer.
everything, then it's right that that company owns it. I mean, I was on the side of the please call me dude, right? And I still am largely, because I
Yeah.
think Vodacom made an absolute killing off of that, and they should compensate him fairly
Yeah.
for it. And
I mean, that was even picked up in other countries. It wasn't even just South Africa
this
anymore.
case is going on as we speak.
I'm
but-
with that guy, by the way, just so you know.
yeah,
Mr.
I'm with
Please
him.
Call
I'm
Me.
with him too. But
Yeah.
but in the end, the company does have, if they put him in charge of innovation and he comes up with this idea, would he have discovered that if he weren't working in the innovation department at the mobile network? Probably not. He'd probably have invented, I don't know, something else, like a pool net or something.
Yeah.
If he's an inventive kind of guy, and he seems to me to be. So
Mm.
you got to like think about it. This makes it a very good point, like about contracts in general,
yeah.
whether it's a marriage contract, and believe me, there's some people who don't read their marriage contracts. They're not sure what an antenuptial contract is. Whether it's that or it's working for somebody else, even when you agree after they've uploaded software to your phone,
yeah.
and you're like, yeah, sure, no problem.
Agree
Mm.
all.
I mean, we were talking just last week about this app that does these high school photos, that I could tell you put a couple of pictures into it,
Right.
and then it generates
Oh, that's,
versions
I did see that trend. Yes. I
of
did see
that,
that trend.
of
Yeah.
you. But now, once you've given them permission to have those photos,
That's their photos, man.
they can use those photos.
Absolutely.
And they will, in constructing AI characters,
Yeah.
they can use your likeness. So again,
Absolutely.
all of that stuff's happening anyway, whether we like it or not, and whether we're actors or not.
Yeah, but again, that's what I'm saying. You have to read it. So I mean, for me as well, Gareth, I've always believed you have to read your contracts, regardless of what profession you're in. You can't just take it for granted because you're going over South Africa, right? So I had a friend of mine, for example, now. He just earned about what, 500K for I'll just say for a specific commercial, car commercial.
That's impressive.
It's impressive, you say, but when you think about it, I'm like, yeah, but that's a global That's a global usage, bro. That's
Well, what must he
nothing.
get a percentage of the sales of the
No,
cars?
but Gareth, exactly what you're saying. They came to South Africa to shoot it because they would never get away with that in any other country.
Well,
So and that's what I say. So I
Loopholes.
go. I had another car company reach out to me, right? And what they were offering for, I think it was supposed to be over a period of 2 years, we're going to do 60 commercials, 60, right? Over a period of 2 years.
Wow.
And you look at this and then you go, how much are you paying? And in terms of what they offered, I could not even buy one car.
Yeah.
So if I can't buy one of your car and I'm giving you my face over 60 ads over 2 years, whether it be 10-second ads, 5-second ads, it doesn't matter. But I'm saying after 2 years, I still can't buy one of your cars. Then it's not worth it.
Maybe that's also a supply and demand thing. There are a
For
lot
sure.
of actors. They will find someone cheaper.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying now, Gareth. So when you look at this market as it stands, so I came out here in 2001. So for example, because I can speak on this, I've been in the industry forever. When I came out in 2001, I would do Fashion Week. I would get maybe about 3,100 Rand for a fashion show, right? And you're doing the big shows. You're doing the big shows. So you're doing like back then I'm talking about now. You're doing the Terrence Bray. They used to have the IQ, but do you remember IQ? But they were way back in the day. You too young.
Yeah, I remember them.
I mean, Gareth will remember. You're not you over here. Don't be shaking your head. You don't know nothing, but you don't fuck all about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Acting like you know. But anyway, you have the FHM show. It's a guy thing. All those guys. So and you would be a part of these big shows. Anyway, you're being paid like 3,100 back then. Do you know how much a fashion show in South Africa is right now for Fashion Week?
How much?
It breaks my heart.
$500.
This is what you're gonna walk away with. It's what you want. It's literally 850 Rand, and that's what you. So I'm going. It's falling behind. It's not going ahead.
Still, this is because
There's
people
more
want
here,
to
bro.
be actors.
But that's
They
what I'm
want to
saying.
be
Yeah, but that's
models.
the problem,
There's a
G's,
lot
that
of ugly
if I
people
don't
out
do
there.
it,
There's a
if
lot of
I don't do
demand
it, he
and
says
few
he
supply.
goes and does it. But then you know what happens? The market keeps going down and down and down.
Yeah,
Do you
it's a
know?
race to the bottom.
I've seen briefs come in where they go, "We want someone looking like Stevel." Like you literally see my picture on the brief, and I'm like, I'm right here, but like I'm right.
They don't want to
here.
pay you.
And that's the point. So I'm saying I'd rather not be a part of that job until when you come to me right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm cool with doing 2 jobs a year that are paying me appropriately, because I would have made what this guy over here made in 2 jobs for his last 10. I'm the Lexus. I'm not a okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm a Lexus. I'm not a BMW. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, I think that's very good, because you figure out like your value, and you've been in it long enough
Yeah.
to be able to do things with an ease that a new person wouldn't be able to do.
Absolutely.
So they're
Absolutely.
paying for that as well. They're paying for
Absolutely.
experience.
Yeah.
They're paying for professionalism. Like you said, efficiency. You get stuff done in a day where
Yeah.
someone else will take
5.
fucking 5.
Yeah, and also people look at it and go, "Hey, man, they're offering me 100K. I got a family. I got kids. I'm just gonna do this."
But
you know,
but that's the point. Is like we always think when we take on a job, okay, this job is here to pay for my life.
yeah,
But actually, you need the jobs to pay for your life. The job doesn't need to pay for your life. The job needs you for a particular thing.
yeah,
And you just got to do that.
yeah. I think that's
So
what it is.
Bakh'abantu is going to be very sad one day when he discovers the cure to cancer and nobody pays him.
But I think there's one thing I'll always thank my mom for. So my mom, growing up, my mom had like a little Cornish store, or what you guys call a tuck shop here, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So, and what my mom would do, right, every like 3 months or every now and then, she would literally bring me cash money, and she'll go, "Here's what 100,000 feel like. Here's what 50,000 feel like. I want you to look at it, smell it." Right. So I've never been fazed by money. Money has never been a thing in my life.
I just want to stop you for a second, because that's a very powerful thing that she did, because these days we use our phones. Now you just use your phone to pay for things all the time, right?
Yes, this is digital experience.
Click, click, click.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you whip out a credit card.
Yeah.
You don't actually feel the money.
No, you're just tapping, man. Tap the thing.
And when you suddenly see like what 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 Rand actually looks like in notes, you're like, that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of, absolutely.
That's a lot of work that made that
absolutely,
money.
man. Absolutely. So my mom did that for me. She would have me feel this money, or I'd say to her, "I'm going to the pantomime." Right. And she would always give
It's
me
a waste of money.
Well,
he became an
the
actor,
Jamaican pantomime is awesome as a kid, right? And that was my experience, man. I love the pantomime. But I'm saying wherever I was going, she would always make sure I had extra cash, even though she knew I wouldn't use it. Right. But it was just for her. I guess it was her way of saying you don't have to be like taken over by money. Like, this is it. Like, you know what I mean? That's not to say she had a lot. It was just her way of saying you don't have to go steal it, or you don't have to go thinking it's going to run your world. this is what it feels like. So I'm never fazed by money. So when I see ads come in and this is the brief, or I see a film come in and this is the brief, I walk away.
Do you have a team? Do you have a manager or
Absolutely.
an agent who looks after this?
Oh,
stuff?
yeah, absolutely, man.
So they also look at it and go, okay, well, you know what? I'm not even going to show this to Stevel. This is insulting.
Oh, no. They actually
this is a
show it
waste
to me.
of time. They show you the shitty ones as
well.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I love about my agent. And I'm with Artist Connection, by the way. There you go. Plug it.
Okay,
I'm with Artist Connection. Yahi is my manager, or my agent over there. But she would literally send this to me and she goes, hey, I didn't want you thinking we didn't get this. So here's what it looks like. I don't think you should do it, but it's your call. You're the actor. I work for you.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So I love that about my team that we could talk about it. Same thing with my PR. I don't think we should be sending our stuff over there, but okay, if you think so, then great.
So,
you know.
A couple of things here. First of all, there's Carl reckons that I've been hit on the head. It's the only way I can explain your defying logic like this. What are you talking about, Carl? I don't understand. You sound like you've been hit in the head. Calm down. Goon says there are pictures of Beyonce at hair salons all over South Africa.
I know. You see how crazy that is?
Should Beyonce get royalties?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, no, I know so.
Why?
So, no, but I'm going to explain to you now. So, for example, it's funny you do this because as a photographer, I just shot for, you can say, one of the major brands here in South Africa. And as part of the modeling contract, the agent called me and they go, listen, we have to charge you extra because when this image is later, 5 years later, sitting on your barbershop or that salon over there, the company's not paying for it. So we kind of charge you this little bit extra because they're not taking it down. They literally explained the situation where they went to the store saying to the owner of that store, you cannot have this picture up, because we have to pay for it. And she's like, but I like that picture. And I love that hairstyle. And I want my clients to know they can get that hairstyle.
They can get the P. Diddy.
Again,
it's like that ludicrous one with a cutout. You always at every single barbershop.
Because this is like the argument for NFTs. And we know how badly that's gone.
Oh, boy.
Right? Yeah. You can't take a digital image of somebody and slap a price on it that's completely outlandish and expect anyone to follow the rules, especially here in Africa. We're gonna print that out on photographic paper. We're gonna put it on our salon wall. We don't give two shits who from someone with a badge. Cyril could walk in and say, "No, you must pay for this picture." We'd be like, "Get out of my shop."
That's absolutely.
You want a haircut or you want to leave?
That's absolutely it. Because again, as models or actors, that's how you make your money. So I would walk into Mr. Price, and sometimes I didn't tell your agent. So I walk into Mr. Price, but I loved it because it was kind of like saving money. It's kind of like SARS. They send you this money after that you save without knowing it, right? Right. So you walk into Mr. Price and you're like, oh, that was only supposed to be here for 3 months. Click, take a picture, send it to my agent. Hey, do you realize this is up? And then they go back to the client and be like, oh, this is up. And then you get your money. Okay. So it happens sometimes. Sometimes they try to sneak in an ad as well during the ad break on TV. And it's not supposed to be running. So then, and I love it. My friends were all over the world be like, hey, I saw you on this last night. I'm like, I owe you a bottle of whiskey. Thank you for that. And I send it off to my agent. I'm just like, hey, did you know this is still running?
So they chase down the client.
Oh, they have to.
Good.
It's kind of like those people that sit every day and listen to the radio to hear how long if a song came on and then send it back to I don't know, Warner's or wherever there's to say, hey, do you know this is being played? So it's the same principle, but you have to be paid.
That's the kind of job AI should be doing.
I have a fun story about someone's image being used without their permission.
Oh, please tell me. Before you do that, I have a crazy, because you're gonna love this one. You're gonna absolutely love this one.
Go on.
So a friend of mine sent me. Oh God, this is so bad. Send me a picture. I had this picture. I had my hand up like this, and my thumb was just kind of like right here in the front of my jeans. And a friend of mine hit me up and he's like, "Hey man, I don't really know how to say this to you because I don't want you knowing what I'm doing in my life." But he was just like, "Hey, you didn't tell me you're into porn these days." I said, "What do you mean porn? What are you talking about?" And he said nothing further. He just sent me a link, and they literally had that picture, my hand up here, and now I'm holding a big ass dick in front of me like this. I swear. And I hit Google up, and I'm just like, "Hey, dude," and they're like, "There's nothing we can do about it." What do you mean? There's nothing you can do about it?
So someone went and took your picture and then put a dick in there.
Literally, and then have my hand, because like I said, my hand was right here in front, like
was it your dick?
Like this.
Was it your dick?
Of course it wasn't his.
Bro, I was like this. So all I could think about in that moment was like, at least they gave me a big ass dick. Like at least that looked like I got a massive one. Thanks a lot for that. But it was so hilarious. Like your people just think they can just do whatever they want with you because you're a celebrity. Man. It's crazy.
Wow. What?
But anyway, your story, please.
What a
No,
cheek.
I can't top that. Come on. Come on.
No, you were going to say Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, you
I
gotta give
can't
us your
top
story.
that.
No, but you gotta give us. Let's hear it.
No, Samuel L. Jackson was in a comic. See now, you see, he just killed all my momentum.
Come on, man.
Samuel L. Jackson was in a comic book store. So he's going through this comic book. He's like, huh. And then he sees a character that looks like him. So
Right.
he keeps on reading. He's like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is pretty
Yeah.
cool. And the character's about to go to war in the comic book. And then he's like, oh, if they make a movie about this war, I want Samuel L. Jackson to play me. So he has this moment where he's like, the character who looks like me is talking
to
about
the
That is crazy.
Yeah. So now he's like, whoa, what's happening? And then he calls his agent. He's like, did we give Marvel permission to use my rights? And then the agent's like, no. He's like, okay, give me the number to the guy to Marvel. He's like,
Wow.
okay, if you guys ever make a movie, this
Yeah.
is like in 2005, 2004. If you
Yeah.
guys ever make a movie, put this character in
Yeah.
and put me in it.
Wow.
That's 2005.
Wow.
2007, 2008, Samuel L. Jackson is an Iron Man. Career blows up.
I know.
So he signed that royalties contract way before.
That is insane. I love the basically you have moments like that too. And going back to what I'm saying to you is where you're being paid, because sometimes you take on a role as an actor and you go, I believe in your project. You don't have the money to get it off the ground right now. So and I think the perfect example of this is I Am Legend with Will Smith, right? Because they couldn't pay him what he wanted at the time. And they're like, he was like, all right, cool, I'll do it, but I'll get a back end deal. So whatever the film makes, then I'll get paid when we come out of the box office. Cool. So you have moments like that, but at least that's signing in somebody that's working with you.
You have to be a very, very powerful actor to be able to say you want some on the back end, because that's where the real money is.
That's where the real money is.
Like you have to be A-list.
Yeah.
And there's only a handful of those in the world, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
amazing.
they try to do it here in South Africa too, but it's not the same.
I hate to call this I mean, we'll pick up on this Will Smith thing because I want to talk to you about him.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to talk about
who doesn't at this point,
I want to talk about the worst wife in the universe,
oh,
Jada
boy.
Pinkett Smith.
Oh boy.
What a terrible human being. Anyway, we'll get to that in just a moment. We've got to get to Africanalysis, which is always what we do on every second Tuesday, and he is standing by, none other than Jean-Jacques Cornish.
Hey.
Hello, JJ. How are you?
Bonjour, you can use my image.
Oh, my God. I was worried about that. I was agonizing about whether or not we could use your image. So JJ Cornish is here for Africanalysis, which is brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. We get our chance to look at what's happening in Africa. So JJ, let's get straight into it. The big story, because Ukraine, Russia's been put on the back burner. Now it's all about Israel and Gaza. How does this affect our continent?
Well, you know that we're divided in effect on how to respond, first of all, to the outrage of Hamas's terrorism, and then to the equal outrage on the Israeli response to it. But the most dramatic is Egypt, where at the Rafah crossing yesterday, there was bombing around the Rafah crossing. There was talk in the morning about a peace deal, not a peace deal, a truce that would allow people to go across, and then that was gainsaid. But basically, Egypt is terrified, as they always have been when there's problems in the Gaza Strip, of people pouring over that border and of them getting involved. They have the longest running peace deal with Israel in the neighborhood. And so they have not let people out until this humanitarian aid allowed in. And it's very, very complex for them. But
JJ, I mean, that's such an interesting point, because we very seldom hear about the responsibility of other Arab nations that are around Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. There are a lot of these countries that border on all of this area of contention. And very seldom do we hear about any responsibility on their part. I mean, that Rafah crossing has been shut, and we've got a double wall there. We've got concrete that goes 20 meters underground. We've got armed guards patrolling it. There's less chance of a Palestinian getting through there than there is of one getting into Israel, by the looks of things.
Oh, yes, it is very, very secure. But, this issue of the rest of the Arab world and their obligations. Now, it's believed that the whole sort of Hamas terror attack was to counter the fact that Israel, the normalization of relations between Israel and Saudi Arabia, they don't want this to happen. And that's why it is being said that the over-response by the Israelis, the bombing and the killing of Gazans, is playing into the hands of Hamas, who wanted to end this relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And of course, at the moment, that is frozen. But to go to further countries where it's having a direct impact is Eritreans. Now, Eritreans fleeing their country, fleeing the fact that they get dragooned into the military forces until a very advanced age. I think I would be called up in Eritrea, me and my Zimmer frame, to fight for Azaria Saverki. The fact is, the Eritreans fleeing in huge numbers. There are no fewer than 18,000 in Israel, and many of them were living in Ashkelon and places like that. So now they go there to get relief or shelter, and they're being bombed again. But now they are coming and saying our second country is bleeding. In other words, Israel. And those appealing for asylum, I think Israel has accepted something like 0.1%. So I don't know if the Israelis want the Eritreans to say this is our country, or they seem not to.
I heard our president is saying, well, any Gazans who can get all the way from there to here, welcome.
Open borders.
Oh yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised at that happening, because the thing about it is the historical ties between the Palestinians and South Africa, and so when you have ties like that, Palestinians stood by us during the fight against apartheid, and so it's incumbent on us to say we will stand by you in your hour of need. But it's a terrible situation, and a very frightening. We had demonstrations in the streets of Tunisia yesterday, again in support of the Palestinian people. And when that happens, don't mistake it for support for Hamas and what Hamas has been doing. And that is too often done, and certainly done by the Israelis. They say, think about us before you start protesting for the Palestinian people. But they are not, as we stand, they are not obeying the rules of law, and they are committing war crimes in their massive bombardment of the Palestinians in Gaza. So it's a fraught situation, and to come out of that one unscathed is entirely impossible. But Benjamin Netanyahu, the man who not only dropped the ball, but he's been a populist leader, a strong man whose political career has been bent on dividing his people, he's going to have to answer for this incredible intelligence lapse, absolutely quite amazing, of one of the great intelligence services in the world. And so this is a story that is visceral, and is going to run and is going to divide friends and going to divide families, as it always has.
So JJ, you say that the continent's divided, but are there other places other than Eritrea who's supporting Israel here? Anybody who's come out in sort of direct condemnation of what we saw 1 week ago?
Well, no, there are countries that have come out. I mean, even South Africa has said that the terrorism is unacceptable, and many countries.
That's like saying we don't really like bad things, and cannibalism's bad. I mean, the fact that you even have to say like terrorism's bad as a statement, like that seems to me almost fatuous. It's like, well, terrorism's bad, and also sort of drowning puppies is bad. It's no,
they've gone beyond saying terrorism is bad. They're saying this act of terrorism is lamentable. So they have condemned the act of terrorism by Hamas, and a number of African countries have done that. I haven't made a list, but they have. There are countries that have instead of just condemning the terrorism, have used the Israeli response to it to make sort of anti-Semitic remarks, and this has happened not only in Africa but around the world.
In Australia,
yes, in Harvard University. I mean, for goodness sake, there are people waiting for any pretext to attack the Israeli and to attack Jews, effectively, not necessarily in the shape of Israel. So that is lamentable too. But the point is that by responding the way they have, and by not providing humanitarian aid, and by, for example, bombing, strafing a humanitarian corridor or a corridor that they had mentioned as a safe place to move from the north to the south. The Israelis are playing into the hands of their enemies in this regard.
I'm not sure.
To see. Yes,
I'm not sure what they're expected to do. It's kind of like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, as Israel at the moment. So sit on your hands, and then it's seen as weakness. And if you attack what you presume are military targets, and even one civilian is killed, you're held responsible for all of it. So it's difficult. It's difficult.
It is very difficult. The situation here is fraught beyond the telling of it. And right now, I mean, the solution in Israel is not a military one. The ultimate solution is not a military one. And we know that all over, with the jihadis all over Africa. The solution, and that's the mistake the French made, thinking that in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Niger and other countries, the solution would be military force to break down the jihadis. That is not the solution. If you do not address the underlying political problem, you're not going to achieve a result. And what is happening in Israel is that you're creating a new generation of hatred. And so if they get rid of the Hamas leadership this time round, well, they've got a new leadership that will spring up. So they've got a political problem. The occupation of Palestine, it's the longest occupation in modern history. Until they address that, and I mean, I go for the cliched old two-state solution. And the peace process in Israel has been moribund for 14 years. So what has happened was horrifying, was lamentable, was without excuse. Condemnable. But the fact is that we need a political solution there, and I think more and more African countries are seeing that. This is what happened in our own country. For all money, we were going to end in tears. For all money, we were going to end in tears, and we found a solution. Imperfect. What has happened in the 20 years since then is something else. But the fact is, yes.
Sorry, if I may ask, Stevel Marc here.
Yes.
So, do you think Hamas went out and they were just like, we're just going to renew this whole war because it's becoming too nice, we're too close to peace? Do you think that's what this is? Because I think you're absolutely right in saying that they've just gone ahead and it's like their renewed hatred. Because you speak to the dad on this side who's just lost a kid, he doesn't want to hear anything that you have to say on the other side, and vice versa, right? So I could sit here and just go, all right, cool, we're trying to get to this peace process, but you can never get there, like you said, until you take your foot off my neck, essentially, right?
Absolutely, Stevel. The fact is they didn't, not because things were getting too nice. In fact, things were moving essentially in Israel's favor with, for example, the normalization of relations with Saudi Arabia.
Right.
So, yes, and so that is what Hamas was responding to. They had to stop that. And the whole accent was on Russia and Ukraine, and the world was looking away from the situation in Palestine. They believed they had to bring that to international attention again. And then, of course, the breakdown of the intelligence certainly aided them. Benjamin Netanyahu, so desperate to maintain his own political status and his own political power. And he looked away. Because
all of this is absolutely, all of this makes it okay that 1,300 innocent people were just butchered by a bunch of complete maniacs. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, also there's some comments here about what occupation Gaza was left alone in 2005, which is true. Israel's not sent a single man across that border since 2005. But we'll have to leave it because I know there are other things.
But gee, sorry, just a quick one. Just a quick one for me, JJ. Maybe you can answer this for me. It's a very good question. My worry, or my big question in my brain here is, why hasn't any of the other Arab countries opened up their gates to say, come on?
Because they don't want these Gazans there. That's the simple answer.
Simple. Okay.
They look at this, they go, I don't want these people. Look at them.
But at the same time, we're supposed to all be Arabs. Yeah. This is my point.
No, it's complete hypocrisy.
But they couldn't open their gates because Gaza is blockaded. They can, we can open our gates.
Egypt can.
But Egypt can.
But Egypt doesn't want them.
But Egypt doesn't want to.
Of course, they don't want
them. If you want to put it that way.
Egypt looks at this and goes, "Do you think I want people who've been trained by Hamas or people who've been educated by Hamas since the age of 6 to hate Jews to come into my country? Think I want that?" Egypt's like, "No, thank you. We'll have none of that. Thank you very much. Keep them in Gaza."
Wow.
No,
Isn't that right?
Well, I mean, they've got to. Egypt is wanting now to let some people in, and certainly the foreigners that are there. But they say in order to do that, you've got to allow. You cannot blockade the Gaza and not let humanitarian aid in. When you do that, we will let people out. That's what they're saying. That's the deal that they're supposed to have made. And they said they had made it yesterday, but then both sides, in fact, both the Israelis and Hamas have said, no, nobody made a deal. We wait to see what happens when Joe Biden gets there. It'll be very interesting to see. He's there tomorrow.
I'm afraid we're out of time because it's already 7 o'clock. But I did want to talk about Yoweri Museveni saying that he wants to ban garments that come from dead people. Perhaps we could save that for the next time.
Well,
I mean, that Yoweri Museveni is a very interesting man. He's completely nutty.
There's no doubt about it, and been in power for way too long. I think anybody who buys their blue jeans off anything but the back of a truck is being stupid. Is being duped. I mean, why would you go into diesel and pay $3,000 when you can pay 200 rand for an equally good and equally well-worn pair of jeans? But this is a situation. They've twice done this, Gareth. Twice done it and twice had to rescind it. So it's I'll certainly save that for next time. All right.
Please. I'd love to hear some more about that. All right. Thank you so much, JJ Cornish. And of course, the Africanalysis segment brought to you by the Johannesburg Business School. We'll catch up with JJ again in 2 weeks' time. Fred, that's all we got time for in this section of the show. We got a little break and then we'll be back with some more in just a moment. Plenty more to talk about. All on the way.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's kind of the hot topic.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so one of the new energy solutions that have been flagged right now is hydrogen. So hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. And I don't know if you saw it yesterday. I mean, you were there. But Toyota and Sasol and the company called Air Products basically collaborated to introduce hydrogen fuel cell vehicles in the country. I mean, it's been around for a while, hydrogen fuel cell energy. But I don't think there's actually a vehicle in the market that's hydrogen fuel cell that you can just go and buy. I think they're still kind of trialing it out.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
I thought you told me it's over, baby. Gonna find you another lady. It's been weeks since you've been around. You keep on dragging me down and down. Beautiful everything. You keep on dragging me downtown. Bright, beautiful everything. You keep on dragging me down and down. By the way, I never told you. There ain't no way I'm gonna fool you. You got me wrapped around your finger. And forever right there I'm gonna linger, baby. You've got me tied up on a leash, walking up and down streets. I'm a good boy.
There's great benefit in intravenous therapy if you use it for the correct indication and if you use it safely, because things can go horribly wrong in the blink of an eye. This is why walking into a store and picking something off a menu, you don't know what the protocol should be. You don't know whether this is really appropriate for you. If you want to do something like that, go to a medical practitioner, address your concerns. This is what I'm feeling, blah, 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 because it might be something completely different, an underlying condition that you're not aware of. And yes, that practitioner can prescribe intravenous therapy for you, depending on your medical condition, your history, the medication that you're taking, and ultimately the diagnosis that you have.
That was the Tea Health Show, empowering you with knowledge. Download all previous episodes on your favorite podcast platform. The Tea Health Show is brought to you by Tea Clinic.
All right, we are live on a Tuesday morning. We've got Stevel Marc in the studio with us this morning. He's always welcome in this studio, and we've had him here a couple of times. This is like the 4th or 5th time you've been here.
Yeah, man, 4th or 5th time. And as you can see, the accent has officially changed now because we forget the Jamaican vibe. But
there we go.
For the next hour, we are full on Jamaican.
He's brought on he's bringing Jamaica here.
Yeah,
that's
man.
what he's doing.
1,000%.
So, lots of comments from people about the situation that we discussed with JJ. We may or may not get into that just now. There's so much to talk about. I do find it interesting. Like what we do here is we talk to JJ about what's going on in Africa, and so many stories that are happening right here in this country. I mean, I got one that we'll get to in just a minute. People are more interested in talking about Russia, Ukraine, or what's going on in Israel, obviously, because these are global events. But here's an interesting thing. So, you know that Dr. Matthew we spoke about last week? We had Jane come in. She told us about this bogus doctor. This guy was busy bullshitting people that he was an actual doctor, giving medical advice online, all that stuff. And then he was bust.
I think what's even more crazy for me is that even after he got busted, he still tried to defend it.
But have you seen that?
I don't know. Sunken cost. The guy was so deep in that there was no way he could get out, right? So there's that story. But then this is an amazing story. This Kenyan, did you see this guy who's a Kenyan lawyer? Well, he wasn't a lawyer, but he presented himself as a lawyer. He had the outfit and everything else.
And he had even that little thing on his head.
He had the whole outfit sorted. He was bogus attorney, right?
Yeah, man.
And he went to court and won cases against actual lawyers.
Actual liars. So it makes you wonder about all these other liars then.
That's exactly the point. If I were an ordinary lawyer in Kenya who'd lost a case to this guy and he's not a lawyer, I'd be humiliated and embarrassed. You would think those would be the people who should be embarrassed, not him. Because they should just let this guy write the bar exam. I mean, frankly, if you've already won, what was it, 20 cases or
26.
something?
26 is what he did. But it reminds me of that film that Leonardo DiCaprio did, Catch Me If You Can, where he was the one that was, constantly,
like running away from the FBI.
These checks and as a pilot and all that. And eventually the FBI was like, come and work for us. You may as well just get him to sit the bar.
That's what you got to do when you find a hacker who's like super smart.
Exactly.
You have to hire him.
Hire him, I think that's where you go with that.
Anyway, so then there's this Dr. Kingsley Leto-Chele, who escaped from custody in Pretoria. Police spokesperson Colonel Mavela Masonda said that Chele is facing, he's a Facebook con artist who targeted women by misrepresenting himself as a doctor or a pharmacist, scamming them of money.
Wow.
Either of those. He went by the names of Dr. Kingsley Chele or Dr. KJ Ngube. Masonda said Chele allegedly operated by contacting health professionals on Facebook and engaging with them, pretending to seek investors while he swindled them out of thousands of rands for projects that didn't exist.
But I'll tell you a crazy story because this one is actually a close story to mine because I have a gynecologist friend and he actually took her patent number off her script card and was giving out scripts to people. So women would go to the chemist trying to get these prescriptions. Eventually, the chemist would call and say, "This doesn't make sense in terms of what is being asked for here."
Imagine though how dangerous that is. Because
it's very dangerous.
You prescribe some medicine for somebody, and you're not a doctor, and you're using some other doctor's number,
essentially,
and then you prescribe something that could technically make that person sicker or kill them, or they have an allergy or anything else, and you don't know anything about this because you're just a bogus.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Do you think that we've got a special problem in South Africa with like bullshitters? Because
1,000%.
Like it starts at the top, and we just have bullshitters the whole way down.
Yeah, but I think also is because the repercussions of those actions are not. It's not harsh. It's not harsh enough. It's not harsh enough. It's not harsh enough.
I just get this Kenyan lawyer to represent me and I won't have to go to jail.
Much have to get to jail. We'll figure it out one way or another.
But also there's like a status thing in South Africa. So like where you want the what is it, stolen valor in America. Like where you
so it's like, expertise.
Yeah.
So
with none of the work.
We value experts.
Yeah.
And in South Africa we trust experts. Yes. And if we didn't learn anything from COVID, then the one thing that you should take out of it is that a lot of these experts do not know their head from their asshole.
Yeah. Exactly.
And as a result, you still, I mean, just yesterday we had John Foster Pedley on from Henley Business School.
Mm.
And he's a smart guy who I have a lot of respect and time for. But even he couldn't say, yeah, they really screwed up that COVID thing.
Mm.
Because it's like, it's obvious now to anybody who knows that it was a disaster. And experts will stand together and support the other experts no matter what, even in the face of overwhelming evidence that they screwed up. So it's pretty wild. I mean, Mike Ross of Suits, exactly. Says, yeah, that's exactly right. And look, in law, sure, the consequences are that, you know, someone could go to jail or someone could be let off if they're actually the opposite, guilty or innocent. But in medicine, it seems like the stakes are that much higher.
I agree, because things could go south quickly.
What kind of things besides acting, which is like you pretend for a living?
Yeah.
Adult pretender.
I've been doing this, man. I've been doing this my whole life.
We've been having it.
I've been having it.
What are the professions where you could bullshit and get away with it and no one gets hurt?
We stumbled onto one just before Stevel walked in. Preachers.
Oh, I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
On Sunday morning, I had to go to an event, so I woke up at 7:30. I don't normally wake up.
One.
I don't normally wake up on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I drove up. What's the street called? South. I think it's South here in Sandton, and there's a big church there. So big is this church that they have special traffic people.
Oh yeah.
Marshalling cars.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's the one on the corner here. What's that?
So big.
Rivers.
That's the one.
Yes.
So enormous is this church. And it seems to me like the worse the economy gets, the bigger these churches get.
Yeah.
Because people are so desperate for hope,
man. It's the hope
and inspiration.
Hope.
I mean, they're hoping that God will see them in that congregation and bless them or whatever. Listen, I'm not going to spend any time like making fun of people who are credulous or who are desperate, because I don't think that's very nice. But I will say this, like, be extra cautious and be extra wary and vigilant when things are difficult, because the only guys who seem to be absolutely creaming it, and I'm not talking about public sector now, I'm talking about private sector guys, are these preachers, these pastors. Bakh'abantu was saying to me, there's a video going around of like Bushiri flying.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't he the one that arose from the dead? Wasn't the same one?
That was a different one.
They're a dime a dozen. You know, what really bothers me is like, I feel that there should be some sort of law. First of all, these churches don't pay any tax. So a lot of them ally themselves with politicians, which already I don't like that relationship.
For sure.
I don't like the relationship between the state and the church, because there shouldn't be. As Thomas Jefferson once said, there needs to be a wall between the two. It should never be crossed. And it's bad enough that they get these special privileges by not having to pay tax and all the rest of it. But the actual preachers are often just clear and obvious charlatans. Like you could see them from a mile away. They're oily. They wear those shiny suits. They look like the kind of people who are greasy when they go to sleep at night. They're greasy when they wake up in the morning. They are some of the most terrible people. And I don't know how it is that these guys are able to just completely bamboozle millions. Some of these churches have got hundreds of thousands of people who are paying like 10% of everything they have.
But I guess that, as you said, Jared, it's the hope. You know, you come in, and the hope for you says that.
Well, what's the price of hope?
Well, that's the thing.
They put an actual price on it.
Exactly.
During COVID, Bashiri asked his congregations to stay at home, and then they should send in proof of payments. And then he's literally in front of the printer. He's praying for them as they come in. Like a stack of this paper, like proof of payments. So imagine people don't have jobs.
There may be some of them that are rich, but I'm thinking a lot of these people
don't have jobs.
They're poor. And then whatever they can scrape together, they're giving to a complete fucking crook. Like, you know, Bushiri, for example, who we know is a crook because we are trying to extradite him as we speak from Zimbabwe, where he's sitting earning US dollars from people who are in this country and have nothing.
Still sending him money.
It's outrageous, man.
That's outrageous. I mean, look, I am all for.
What do you have to prove to someone? Sorry, what do you have to prove to someone who would give Pastor Bushiri money? What do you have to do that would convince them to not give him their money?
Well, I guess the first question is, well, unless they feel like by something is working in their lives, is the way I would look at it. If I say, because if I keep paying you for something, I'm saying I'm getting something. But people oftentimes forget about who the source is. You know,
but you only get heaven. You only get heaven when you're dead.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
there you go. But my whole thing is you have to
Payday
find your
comes
time
after
with
you.
your God, man.
It's like the insurance companies. Payday only comes after you're dead.
There you go.
So I'm very suspicious of anyone who's offering you stuff for when you're dead, because you're not going
Yeah.
to be there to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's wild.
No, but like you're buying into heaven, right? Aren't you? Like, don't you buy like forever life?
Except you shouldn't. Except you shouldn't. Except you shouldn't. So
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
wild.
Look at this. Jane says, Jane in the comments says, there's a pastor who lives down the road from you, drives a Porsche.
Mm.
See,
But again, Gareth, I don't have a problem with the pastor driving a Porsche.
I
Right?
do.
No, I don't. I don't.
Jesus walked.
No. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I'm sure back then too, riding a donkey was like the Porsche back then. Okay.
Jesus
but my whole
walked.
thing is that you have to understand, being a pastor is a job just the same. It's a job just the same. So if it's a mega church that makes millions and billions, you're going to be paid more. If it's a smaller church, then you drive a smaller car.
Next thing they're gonna unionize.
Next thing they're gonna unionize them.
Next thing, Stevel's going to be getting the Screen Actors Guild. Fran Drescher going,
I want people that have the church to have lots more money.
No, look, all I'm going to say is you have to be aware of the false prophet, man. You have to
well,
pay attention
these guys
to the false
are.
prophet.
So somebody says here in the comments, do you remember that guy who presented himself as a sign language interpreter at
At the Barack Obama.
and it was
burying
at
Nelson Mandela.
Madiba's funeral.
Yeah, when we were
Oh,
burying
wow.
Nelson Mandela, and this guy's like,
They take chances, bro. Yeah, he was popping and dropping. He was popping and locking, right? It's crazy.
Hardy Dave
That's
says,
crazy.
I do not know how people can see Copeland and Austin and not see what they really are. I agree. I see these people and I can see straight through them. How come so many other people are caught up in that?
Yeah.
I don't know who's pitching up at that church I drove past on Sunday. Unless that motherfucker can actually walk on water. I don't know why those people are bothering.
I think you have to find your space. I mean, like, I'm a fan of Joel Osteen, for example. But again, I mean,
You are?
I've never
He doesn't look to you. I mean, I'll put a picture of this guy up. He looks to me like such. Joel Osteen looks like the
I
kind
don't
of
care
person.
about this man's look. I care
think you
about what
should.
he's saying.
I'm
I care about
sorry.
what he's saying. But I find him to be a very motivational guy. Beyond everything else. I mean, I've never paid money into Joel Osteen's church or any of that. But if I'm sitting there and this guy can motivate me if I'm feeling down, then why not?
He looks to
You know?
me like the sort of person who will, while you're dying, take the rings off your fingers. Am I wrong?
Oh gosh, be nice.
I know.
Gareth, be nice.
No, I'm not going to be nice about people like this because they're walking among us and they are actually swindling the poor before our very eyes, and we're actually choosing to ignore it. We're choosing to, well, it's just, this is good old market capitalism, but it isn't because they're not offering you a product. They're not offering you. You said hope, and you're right.
Yeah,
like
it's
I
hope. It's
agree
hope.
with you completely. But
It's hope.
But hope shouldn't cost you any money.
Yeah,
People should be giving you hope for free.
for free.
Because
Which is what I'm saying. I just jump onto
so
YouTube.
KFC, get on that.
No, stop telling us to add £2. Just give it to people for free.
Give
You son
people
of a
hope
bitch.
for free.
I,
Look
bet,
at
I bet you the first couple of times you didn't feel too guilty though. You were giving that £2, right?
Look at this
Yeah.
guy.
Like, come on.
I mean,
He looks like a car salesman.
no,
Okay, he does look like one of those.
he
Yeah,
looks like a second-hand
Good
car
car
salesman.
salesman. He looks like he's in the Wolf of Wall Street.
Who exactly with that hairstyle? I mean, that's when white men have hair like that, they are liars.
Oh,
The
Gareth.
devil is busy, friend.
Oh
Now,
man.
Let me tell you
Oh.
something. This guy will sell you a car, and then he'll open the car door. The car door will fall off, and he'll say to you, "Great value,
Great feature.
value, great value."
Portable doors.
So this is just in case someone climbs onto this bandwagon and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's because you're jealous." Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because I could not live with myself being dishonest,
Yeah.
like some of these people are, saying
Yeah.
straight face to old people, to vulnerable people, to depressed, poor, unemployed people, whatever it is. Look them in the eye and say, "Your life is gonna get better. You just got to
Yeah.
give me everything you have.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
life is gonna. I feel the Spirit is talking to me. Your life is about to improve." The fact that cars are rolling up at these mega churches,
Yeah.
and these people's lives are not getting better,
Yeah.
should be all that they need to know. But you know what? I suppose you can't stop people. It's like gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to go to the casino. They're going to lose all their money.
Yeah.
And then you say to them, obviously the house wins.
Yeah.
and they still don't. They don't want to accept logic.
Yeah.
Like you tell somebody, and I'm sure you've seen this a million times, both of you, Bakh'abantu and Stevel. Like there's some friend of yours who's in love with a girl, or she's in love with a guy, and you meet this person, you're like, that is a terrible person. I don't know why this friend of mine would be into that person. This is going to end in tears. So you say something which normally, I mean, you shouldn't really, because unless you absolutely want to get involved, don't, is my advice on this one. But let's say you know that they're just a crooked, horrible person. You say, why would you be with this person? But they're so in love.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tunnel
Like
vision,
Will
man.
Smith.
Tunnel
Will Smith
vision.
didn't want to hear it.
Now that brings,
That's a segue. Here you
So
go to the segue now.
so that brings us to this.
Like
Yes.
Tupac said it.
So you were talking about Will Smith earlier, who is
Yeah.
easily, I mean, there was a period around I Am Legend.
Yeah.
In fact, on either side of that, Ali, he was
Pursuit of
probably
Happiness.
the biggest actor in the world.
For sure. Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. I
Will
mean, this
Smith-
film's still there.
And
right now.
also had an unassailable reputation. Like,
Yeah.
people took him seriously. He was considered one of the smartest guys. He played every role beautifully, but he also managed his private life.
personal private life.
He was this family man. He had these slightly wacky children who were like trance or whatever the fuck they are. I mean, like those kids are like, I do not hold out a lot of hope for those two children and their mental health going forward. I'm pretty much convinced that, what are their names again?
Jaden and Willow.
Yeah.
Jaden and Willow.
Jaden
I mean,
and Willow. Yeah, Jaden and Willow.
those two are walking disasters. But all of that is not necessarily a bad reflection on Will Smith. I think Will Smith, and there's a part of me that still wants to believe that Will Smith is a lot better than that guy who walked up onto stage and hit Chris Rock, which is just an unacceptable thing for anyone to do.
Absolutely.
But I do blame, and I know this is going to upset a lot of feminists, I think Jada is the worst wife in the world. To ritually humiliate this man at every given opportunity. She takes every chance to say something derogatory about him, to treat him like he's just an object in her life. She had an affair a public affair with one of her daughter's friends, and then rubbed his nose in it.
But you see, that's what's crazy now. But
She treats him worse than I would treat a dog I didn't like. And she expects this to be, no, like, come on, guys. You know what? There's also a responsibility. You know what, a wife, if I think about the kind of woman I would want to marry, okay?
Yeah.
If I wanted to have a serious relationship with all of the best characteristics I've seen in other people who have great relationships.
Yeah.
You support each other.
Yeah.
You love each other.
Yeah.
You don't air out your dirty laundry in front of everyone else. And you certainly don't go on there. First of all, there's that. Did you ever see that video of her where she started filming and he's like, please don't film me?
Yeah.
You were talking about your image
Yeah.
and royalties and all of that stuff. He said to perfectly reasonably in his own house that his money paid for, because Jay didn't make any fucking money. Compared to him, she's a deadbeat, okay? She's filming him in the house that he paid for. And she's like abusing him. It's like, what you doing, you loser, or whatever. And he's like, please don't film me now. You have to ask for permission, because my social media is my meal ticket. And I'm trying to manage this. It's part of my career.
Yeah.
This woman she's like, oh, please. Do we have to go for counseling again over you? And she does these sessions where it's like these Maoist struggle sessions with this poor man.
Gosh.
Where she humiliates and ridicules and mocks and diminishes his manhood publicly. I just feel so sorry for Will. That whole thing we saw at the Oscars was just the final straw that broke the camel's back. And as much as I know that Will lost everyone's respect there and he probably deserved it, there's a little part of me that goes, oh man, with that terrible woman in your life, you had to do this, Will. I understand.
Wow.
Am I wrong?
Look, I think for me it was heartbreaking, because Will was somebody I looked up to for so long. So that's where I'll start, right? I mean, and like you said, I don't think that's the true representation of the man Will is. But then after what she said this week, to say that they've been separated for 7 years.
She says she doesn't even know him.
Yeah.
She had the
But that part was crazy for me. That part was crazy because
Bitch,
it makes
bitch,
me wonder.
You've been married to this man.
You've been filming him.
You've been
Oh
making
my
fun of him. You're the only person in Hollywood who can get away with doing the things you did to him at one
No,
point.
yeah, that's crazy. That part is crazy. But it makes me wonder because, as she said, she was surprised that he was calling her my wife in that moment. But again, speaking about hope, could it be that he's been holding on for the last 7 years, and so this is him just trying to get? But also, I think this is what she's saying as well. This is because Chris had reached out to Jada.
Yeah, apparently.
Because that's what she's saying. Chris
No,
said-
she's got a book to sell. That's why.
Well,
this is
there's
happening.
that too. But she's saying, but if we're gonna go with that to say that, look, Chris reached out to me at some point because maybe you're jealous as a guy. He's like, okay, so you're just gonna reach out to my wife and pretend like I'm not here. All right, okay. And in that moment, it was like
But then she doesn't do what a wife should do and say, no, I'm terribly sorry. I'm married to Will Smith, one of the greatest
She
actors
probably was like,
of all time. Actually, we have we used to be a power couple, and don't you dare insert yourself between me and my husband. She can't say that.
She said that's what she
said.
said.
She was banging August on the side.
August.
She has no moral.
So do you think that's why?
Not banging? It was an entanglement.
It was entanglement. But do you think that's why he said that Will Smith gave me his blessing because they weren't together?
Oh.
I mean, is that what it is?
Then get divorced. At least do the marriage, the institution of marriage, the credit of
Back to
calling it what it
contracts.
is.
Yeah. But that's my thing as well. Why is it always her? Like Gareth's saying, why is it always her that comes out and say these things?
Because he
You know what I'm
has
saying?
self-respect.
Like, it's wild.
She does not respect him. So
Yes.
I heard an interesting podcast the other day where a guy said, I can't remember who it was, Chris Williamson or one of these guys, said to a man, it is more valuable to have your wife, your girlfriend, say she respects you than say she loves you.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
That's 1,000%. Yeah, that's always
if someone says they love you, great, that's nice.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good, but respect means this
Yeah.
much. Right?
Absolutely.
And women never, or very rarely, unless they're really self-actualized, will say to a man, I respect you. They'll say, I love you all the time if they really do. I'm not saying they're dishonest, but respect is not as big a deal to her as him when she says it to him.
Yeah. Well, Gareth,
And by the way, the opposite is true in reverse. So if a man says to a woman, I respect you, perhaps in certain cases, and I'm not going to say, I'm here representing all women on this, but usually I love you means more to the woman than I respect.
No,
you.
absolutely.
Usually.
It's like what I said on my book back then. You remember The Refined Play of Sex, Lies, and Days. I say it's amazing how many women use sex for love and how many men use love for sex. It's the same principle. So if you put 100 guys in the room right now and said, respect or love, which one do you want?
They'd want respect.
90% takes respect. On the other side, a woman probably say, can I get both? You see what I'm saying?
Maybe, but probably more love.
Absolutely. So women operate from a place of I want a year love, and men operate from a place from respect.
Yeah,
but I don't think Jada respects Will at all.
Yeah,
Right.
she doesn't.
It doesn't occur to her that she needs to respect this man, and it doesn't matter how much love you use to compensate for a lack of respect. It's never going to fill that gap.
Yeah, I do think again. Obviously, we don't know the full story. Well, I don't know. No, wait. No, hold on. Hear me out. I'm saying that we don't know.
Don't you know that Jada hasn't told you?
No, what I'm saying is we don't know the full story. There's always her story, his story, and what really happened. But what I'm saying is I do find her interactions to be manipulative. Because if you look at that first interview that came out, there's even like what was recent last week when she was speaking about all this, she was all about her, sell this book.
Yeah.
Now that the backlash is happening where women globally are just going, please just leave Will Smith alone. Just leave this man alone. Now she's come back on the Jay Shetty podcast. She's like, actually, Will and I are working very hard to find ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So I do find that in moments she is.
Now that she's betrayed him in every way possible, if he lets her get away with that, he should just divorce her for his own peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, the kids are grown up now and they're a disaster anyway, so it doesn't matter. It wouldn't make any difference. Get out of that marriage, Will.
I don't know. 7 years of separation just seems like a long time for me. She said that they've not been sexually involved for 7 years. That's what she's saying.
Again, why would you tell?
Why would you say that?
And that's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
You know, I just find it so
it's crazy for me.
Outrageously disrespectful that you would go on a show, a podcast.
Do you know what I think it is, Gareth?
Start recording on your phone. Tell everyone in the world who are not in your marriage about the fact that you and your husband have not had sex for 7 years.
7 years. I know it's wild.
Humiliating.
I think she's still in love with Tupac. I think she should actually. She should have at this point. At this point, she should have a T-shirt and said Tupac was here.
Lucky him that he's dead.
Yeah.
Because if he'd ended up with her, he would have been a disaster.
No, it's wild, man.
It's jealousy.
It's wild.
She hates that his career blew up and hers never did.
It's wild, man.
And now it's her time to get her revenge back.
Yeah, no, it's wild for me. It's wild for me.
She's a terrible, terrible person.
But she also spoke about the fact that she was slinging crack cocaine as a teenager, and that was her thing. And she had the.
So
it's wild.
So Jay-Z sold drugs as a young man.
Yeah.
You remember when there was that very embarrassing incident with Jay-Z and Beyonce's sister,
right?
In the lift.
Yeah.
But that got out in spite of them trying not to let it get out.
Yeah.
You will never hear. Look, I mean, I hope I don't get proven wrong somewhere along the way, but I have not heard to date Beyonce or Jay-Z speak out of home about their relationship.
No.
And they could, and people would eat it up.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that little bit that she gave us in the song, she was just flossing in that song where she was just like, I'm sure some shit don't go down to 2 billion in an elevator. Yeah. You know, of course, some shit don't go down when there's 2 billion in an elevator. That's about it. That's it.
But that was almost more of a compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are so many couples who just quietly go about their business. And of course, every marriage has their problems. So I'm not saying that Will and Jada should have got it right and absolutely will be judged on every misstep in their marriage. Every marriage is imperfect.
Yeah.
But the fact that this woman is out there just doing absolutely everything she can to undermine him is
it's wild,
vicious.
man. It really is wild.
She's such a nasty bitch. I cannot.
She's a nasty woman.
I can't tell you.
So
it's wild. It's wild, man.
Oh, she's
wild.
just poisonous.
It's wild. But I always say people cannot destroy what they don't know about. So you want to keep some things to yourself, man. Keep some things to yourself. And then she can't blame anybody or the world right now for being in their business because, you brought it here. You brought it here. So, it's crazy for me.
How do you draw the line as somebody who is a public figure acting? You're out there. People know who you are. When they meet you, they have certain expectations. They, especially women, like they're going to meet you and they're going to be like, oh, this guy, it's patently obvious to them. He's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
He's successful. He's got his head on right. He understands, the way that the world works. I mean, by and large, you're an accomplished man. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that can attract both very, very high-quality women and also very, very low-quality machoshas.
In fact, all the time. It's not just sometimes. All the time. As it is for you, I'm sure, over the years.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so they
How
both
do you figure it?
For me, I think it's just the principles.
What are the telltale signs, though?
I don't think there are any, though, because I could literally wear a facade the whole time. It's kind of like a guy always say. It's
actors can also you pretend professionally. Okay, no, you do. So sometimes the woman thinks she's I'm in.
No, for sure, for sure.
And then you suddenly say, it's been very nice.
For me, I've always been truthful about it up front. Because it's I just find it to be easier. And sometimes you think it's going to push a woman away, but in fact, it draws them closer.
Well,
by being honest about it, because you're just like, listen, I don't want anything from you. I just want to hit. And they're like, oh, great. And then sometimes as well, they go, I know when we started out, we said we're just going to hit, but my feelings have changed. How do you feel about, I haven't changed.
And you are not in a hurry to get married and settle
No,
down.
man. And in fact, I wanted to ask you this question as well. And probably you as well. I mean, you're pretty young, so it's good to hear both sides of it. I mean, do you find it to be more difficult as you're becoming more mature? You know what I didn't say older. More mature to find a partner because you're more aware of what you want.
But you get super selfish.
Well, thank you. I like that too.
That's the other side of it. So
yes.
I could give you the positive side, which is to say, I know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm self-contained.
Yeah.
I'm by and large, very satisfied with my life.
Yeah.
I've got a family I really care about. I sometimes think that there's something missing, but then I realize like how lucky I am with so much of what I get to do every day and people I interact with and all of that stuff, that I don't feel sorry for myself for very long.
Yes.
But occasionally I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Because I'm having a slightly bad day.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a child so that I can have some purpose, and then I make that child's life a misery. You know, because this is how people think,
Yeah.
right? It's the most selfish thing in the whole world. It's like bring a new person into the world
Yeah.
and make them the solution to your problems, but
Yeah.
create huge numbers of problems for them.
Like
So,
live vicariously
So-
through them.
Yeah.
again, I try to be balanced about this. The positive side is, no, I feel very satisfied with all the various aspects of how my life is turning out, and
Yeah.
I'm very lucky and I'm grateful
Yeah.
for that stuff. And therefore, there's very low need
Yeah.
and there's very low emotional need.
Right.
But I accept that that's just me.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. Some
Yeah.
people are desperate to be in a relationship. It's
Right.
very important for them to have someone to share with
Mm, mm.
in all their things that they do. But the other side of that coin is you get more and more happy in your own space,
Yeah.
content in your own world,
Yeah.
content with your routines.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of old men
Yeah.
who are just doing what old men do. And they get, you're laughing, Bakh'abantu, but you know this is true, right? Old men are sometimes the most terrible and depressing thing you can encounter in your life because they're so set in their ways and so
Yeah.
selfish.
So selfish.
And
Yeah.
they won't hear from anybody else. Everyone else is wrong. And they talk
Yeah.
about themselves the whole time.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So I think there's an antidote that has to come in. Either I will get to a point somewhere in the next 5 to 10 years
Yeah.
where I'll go, first of all, meet someone I really want to be with forever,
Yeah.
which may or may not happen.
Yeah.
But also there might be a need to actively search for that person
For sure.
so that you don't become that old man that everybody goes, oh, yeah, this guy's in the fucking, this guy, he's going to drive us
Yeah.
all crazy.
I know. I think that's very insightful. Thank you for answering that question, because it's interesting, because I asked that question to a lot of men and women, and I guess it's a common thread with successful people as well, and intelligent people, because you get to a point where you just want to hear. It's difficult if you look at people who are like highly intelligent, they get bored very quickly listening to you, or even just watching something, because they're not stimulated. And I think it's a very good point that you're saying as well, that you do become selfish, because I find that in myself now. Like my space has to be a certain way. And if you come over, I expect you to leave things like this. And I know we have to coexist. And when you're coexisting, you have to be cool with certain things. But I know what I want now more. And that makes it more difficult for me.
I had a girlfriend stay over a while ago. She came up from another part of the country for a weekend, and there was fucking mascara on all the towels.
How did the bathroom look? Brought all the toiletries.
And you're probably as heavy as me, because I only use white towels and white linens. And so for me, it's like,
I know this is stupid, right? I know this is stupid. And we still get on like a house on fire. She's terrific.
Yeah.
I love having her around. She's lots of fun. If she lived with me, I'd murder her. Because there's the makeup on the pillowcases. I'm like, what kind of, how do you live at home?
I know, it's wild. It does, and it makes you wonder. Because I mean, for me as well, like
she's not like a dirty person.
And
She's
that's
not
the
like
thing. She's
grubby and messy.
I fully understand the principle of it. But again, it's because she's comfortable. She's like, come on, but you can wash them. That's why you have a washing machine. And you're going, no, I want my things looking a certain way. It's like someone asked me the other day. She came over and she was just like, how come I've never seen anything on your dining room table? I'm like, because it's not the purpose of it. It's just there to look good.
What did she mean? What does she want on your dining room table?
She wanted to put a cup. She wanted to put a can. I'm like, no.
Candles. What is okay? So, ladies, I need some of the women in the comment section here to stand up, because listen, this is the only Mondays we got Leanne, thankfully.
Yeah.
Wednesdays we've got Lebang. Thursdays we've got Pumi. Fridays we've got Simpiwe. So we got a woman on the show every day. This is a rare thing where it's just 3 guys in the studio. So I hope it hasn't sounded like a bros club this morning, but it may still. There's time for us to get there. Candles. What is with so many women, not all, so many women just with this obsession with fucking candles?
I don't get it.
Have you noticed? They love a candle.
Yeah, and those diffuser things, those things like
the diffusers with the little sticks,
like the little sticks,
incense sticks.
Yeah.
Incense sticks. But I mean, I here's the thing: I have nothing against candles. Like I genuinely have nothing against candles. Like for real.
On the record, Steve Earle has nothing against the candle mafia.
No. I'm gonna let you know for real. I have nothing against candles, because for some people it's a spiritual thing. For some people it calms them. So, for example, Gareth, when I write in the mornings, because I find it very difficult to write at this time during the day. I don't know how people do it, right? Because the rest of the day, I just want to have things. So I literally wake up at 3:30 every morning, right? And I'm in bed. Oh, yeah. And I'm in bed at 7. So I have 3 rabbits.
Every day.
Every day. So I say to my little rabbits, I feel like unless Arsenal's playing, then I may push the hours out a little bit.
Okay.
But I have three little rabbits, right? And they're dwarf rabbits. They're really tiny. And I always say we go to bed at the same time, we wake up at the same time. But I'm in bed at 7:30. All right. And I'm up at 3:30. And I have a candle. I have one of those little tea candles.
See,
and I know,
no woman's going to ever marry you if you say to her, you have to be in bed with me.
no, I don't care what you do. In your,
Hey, what
if you
about
want to
we
come
watch,
to bed,
why
but
don't
if
we
you want-
Netflix and chill,
yeah, but if
baby?
she wants, she can do that.
But
She
don't
can do that on
interrupt
her
my
own.
schedule.
But my schedule is my schedule. But see, and that's the thing now, because
Oh,
you're
man.
single, you can have a schedule. You see? But I'm saying when I'm up at 3:30 in the morning, I pray, I get my thing done. But I have a candle that it lasts for 4 hours.
Okay.
And so I know I'm writing from 4 a.m. until 8
You're
a.m.
like a medieval
Yeah, it's like
calligrapher.
it just keeps going. And so you're just gonna lock into that space. So for some people, it's different. For some people, they use it for the place to smell good.
Yes.
You see
Sure.
what I'm saying?
But these women just collect these things.
They just collect them.
Yeah, they just
So
everywhere.
it's not for, it's just sitting around.
Yeah, every corner, every piece of
Okay,
hardwood
that one.
surface.
Okay, that one I don't understand.
Every piece of hardwood surface.
That
is
one I
a
don't
candle.
understand. Okay, that one I don't understand.
Yeah,
But sometimes I think it just really just makes the house smell good.
a lot of women will ask now, well, what's with you guys and leaving sports equipment lying around?
Except I don't.
A lot of guys just
Yeah.
drop their clothes when they
Except
get.
I don't.
I don't either. But
You see what I'm saying?
You see,
So a lot of
three,
guys
like
do.
what,
So,
consensus?
yes,
we don't
three
do
consensus.
this.
So 3 guys in the room saying they're doing the same. I mean, for me, I mean, do you know what's crazy as well? I mean, this one's probably crazy. Do you know I wash my own laundry?
Yep.
So I do.
All of it.
So my helper comes over and she only irons because I cannot stand ironing. And that's probably because my mom used to have me iron my little sister's school dress, and she wore pleated dresses at school.
Oh, dude.
So I had to. So for
That's
me,
impressive.
ironing stuff, I think it's just ingrained in me forever. So, bro, I mean, the seam in my pants when I was going to school, I could literally cut your neck with that thing.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So I was that kind. And even though my helper struggles, because I look at them like, why we got 2 seams in this? Why we got 3 seams in this?
It must
So-
be difficult for
Yeah,
you.
right. So for me, but it's therapeutic for me. I'm a person. My
Will
mom,
you-
again, my
will
mom,
you not put a pair of sneakers on if they've got like a mark on them?
absolutely.
Yeah,
They
me
have
too.
to be cleaned.
Okay,
So my mom had me, my mom was the kind of person, she had me literally with bleach and soap in a bucket of water
Mhm.
with those old school brushes. You know that big brush that with the wood at the back? And I
Yes.
would have to scrub
The
my
wood.
nails every Saturday. That was routine, and cut them. So I'm kind of like, my brother calls me monk. I hope you get that reference.
no,
But
no.
like, because for
We're
me,
all-
I like my space a certain way. I'm a clean person. I shower before the gym. I shower after the gym.
But you see, this is, to go back to your question to me earlier, this is going to make it very difficult for
integrate.
any woman to just come into your life.
Yeah.
See, unless you're prepared, and I'm not going to answer for you, but
Yeah.
I think that I would be, for the right woman, be
Yeah.
prepared to just ease up a little bit on some of the very uptight routine places where things go,
Yeah.
way things are done. You
Yeah.
have to compromise.
Yeah, because you're coexisting.
right.
You're in a
But-
space of coexistence.
But it
you know?
does sound to me like you're very happy with all of this going on.
Yeah,
You like things the way they are. You know where everything in your house is.
absolutely.
That's how you want your life.
Yeah.
Gives you great pleasure. You can go out into the world
Mhm.
knowing that your life is in order.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where I am.
Yeah.
But again, I have moments where people come over. It's kind of like having, okay, so this is also a crazy part of me. So I have,
You're a
no,
nut
this
kid.
is crazy actually. Because I've heard several women who've come over to the house be like, bro, this tells me where you are in your
Psychopath.
life. So you buy like, I don't know, maybe it's just a place where I buy my stuff, but you get like 6 spoons, 6 forks, it's 4 plates. I only take out 2 forks, 2 spoons, and everything else stays in plastic.
Oh,
So I'm like,
really?
Because I'm like, you're
are.
not
Hey, you're
using
another.
it. Because I'm like, you're not using it though.
Okay.
You're not
Hey, you're
using
off the
it.
reserve. Hey,
If you
Steve,
have 6 spoons, then now you have 30 spoons in the sink. Why?
no. You can use the 2 spoons and keep washing them, but like, hey, you need
No,
to.
but why do you have to use all the spoons and all the
Hey,
forks?
You lost it somewhere, Steve.
No, but I'm just saying.
You've
That's
gone
how I
past
am. I
promised
literally
land.
leave my stuff. So, and it's the same principle again. G. Growing up, I wasn't a guy with 10 pair of sneakers.
Hmm.
Right? My mom is going to say to me, okay, we could buy 4 of them cheap ones over there for the one price you want to use for that Nike. So when I finally bought my Nike or my pair of
Looked
Adidas,
after
oh
it.
my gosh. So I have t-shirts in my closet right now at 10 years old. You know what I'm
Same.
saying? I have jeans, 20 years old.
Same.
And you look like I bought them yesterday. Because again, they're packed and they're washed and taken care of in a certain way.
Yep.
And that's where it is. It's the same way I'm saying I cannot be going out with
Okay.
dirty sneakers. It makes no sense.
There's a bunch of comments here. Okay, guys, this is like an anti-dating
Okay,
show.
we're going back to the Jamaican accents. Right above that, Gareth, you can see we need the the Jamaican
Can
accent. All right, so we'll
Stevel
stick back to
do a
it. All right, yeah,
Jamaican
man, no
accent?
problem.
He's doing it.
We're doing it right
In fact,
now.
I saw him. It crept back in straight after 7. So Zach says, my wife is a pillow freak. By the time you finish taking them off the bed to nap, your nap time is over.
Yep. Yeah, women, candles, pillows.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but Gary, do you cover your pillows? Do you have like a little thing that goes onto your pillows to protect them from?
No.
like, you don't.
No. That I'm not that.
no.
far down.
I
You're
have
not-
two. So I use my towel on top of the pillow cover, and then
Oh.
inside the pillow cover, there's the pillow protector.
Wow. And you thought I was weird with my spoons? Okay, cool.
These days, you get these things called mattress protectors.
Yeah.
I have that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Waterproof.
And then there are people who have a sheet over that, and then
Yes.
another sheet on top of
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
in summer, they'll only sleep under the sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
you're supposed to have
whatever.
2 sheets.
Like, we can't get into everyone's bizarre thing. There's
It's
100
one of-
different
it's one of
ways you
those
can do your bed.
things, but it's just protecting. I use a silk bandana kind of thing on my pillows just to protect it. But that's about it. So I
So
guess every people out
The
there want
K&A says,
Yeah.
I think it's presumptuous to assume you're intelligent because you're unpartnered into your old age. It could be that you're just not a suitable mate.
1,000%. And to be clear on that, I'm just saying that people who are intelligent may act a certain way. So I'm not saying that's why you're single or in a relationship. I'm saying that sometimes it's more difficult to have a conversation with somebody who's intellectual because they can't keep up, or you can't keep up with them, and they get aggravated with you all the time.
Loss
Because
of
yeah.
patience and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, though. Your level of interest in things and in people. Again, it's a generalization, but women are mostly more interested in people and guys are more interested in things, generally.
Yeah.
It's not always true.
It's the age-old debate when like I got introduced to this thing called EQ. I'm like, I didn't know what that was. I just knew IQ. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, cool. So what do you think? And then people are like, I know, I feel. Whoa.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
As opposed to I think.
I think, yeah. People don't think, they feel.
Yeah.
So it was very like, yeah.
My dad brought me into that. Yeah, when I was in LA, he's always like, yo, I feel like you use your IQ a lot, but you don't use your EQ enough.
I feel like we should be using.
You see what I'm
I feel
saying?
like we
Yeah.
should be
And
thinking.
again, he's one of those people because he's a PhD professor. So for him, you have to understand, I hated school, so I can't relate. Just like I can't relate to that.
I think perhaps the most interesting thing is the way that people get into a routine of doing something because it's comfort more than
Yeah.
actual interest.
Yeah.
So we joked about this on the show too. In fact, with Simpiwe on a show not too long ago, we were talking about how dreary it is when somebody gets home from their job and then they have to tell their partner about their day. Like it's a standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna tell my wife about my day.
Yeah.
She's gonna go but she's
Right.
not really listening because she's cutting the cucumbers or whatever the fuck it is. Then she's gonna tell me about her day and I'm gonna go but I'm not really listening. And I think that's just so terrible. And I've seen it happen. I've sometimes been in a room where a couple are talking, but they're really talking past each other.
Right.
It's more, and it's not to say that it's wrong, by the way. I get that like sometimes it's just being in the room together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not even about like what you're really talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be meaningful. It doesn't have to have depth or
Yeah.
substance to it. You
Yeah.
don't have to be sitting there debating like we were with JJ Cornish this
Right.
morning.
Right.
It's just like, okay, I just acknowledge you're here. You acknowledge I'm here.
Yeah.
We're just sharing because this is important for bonding. I
Cohabitation.
get
Yeah.
it. Like it doesn't have to be the deepest, most meaningful conversation you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
And for some people, also those deep, meaningful conversations are exhausting. So they're
Yeah.
like, let me rather just watch the soap opera with him and I'll put my hand on his leg so he doesn't feel like I don't care about him anymore. And he's like, well, I'll tell her she looks pretty, even though I don't think so. But
that's kind of wild. But why?
It's fine.
I
Some
see-
people,
no.
that's what they want. Dude,
It's crazy.
not everybody wants the intensity
Yeah.
you want, Cliff.
No, for sure. But again, I mean, do you enjoy being in a relationship, Bugs?
Yes, I do.
Gareth, do you enjoy being in a relationship? Or
I have
Yeah.
enjoyed being in a relationship.
I love being in relationships because I don't want. I mean, I want listeners to understand. I'm not somebody who hates being in a relationship. I love being in a relationship, and in fact, something that worked for me when I was. I mean, what my longest relationship was 5 years. What worked for us then is that we would constantly be on the phone throughout the day. So at the end of the day, we never had to do a debrief, if you may.
Okay. But
You
isn't
see
that
what I'm
also
saying?
so if you didn't reply to her, did she get antsy with you after 3
not
hours?
At all. No, not at all. Not at all. It would just be like whenever you do the catch up, right? It's like when people say to me, "Oh, it's been such a long day. Sorry, I didn't get back to you." I call bullshit. No, I do.
Yeah, because you always have time.
No. It's not even that. I'm saying, and this is for platonic relationships, just the same. Not necessarily for
Romantic ones.
romantic ones. Because if I'm be on my way to the bathroom at some point. Hey, I just wanted to touch base with you quickly. How you doing? You good? You having a good day? Everything okay? Okay, cool. Shut. Later. Done. You don't have to sit on the phone and romanticize the shit.
Yeah,
like,
have you ever heard two women on the phone?
We say we're not gonna do the bro dude. We're gonna
Because
do a bro down.
no, because there's a big difference between the way your call, which lasted
literally seconds.
seconds,
Yeah.
is not gonna hit the touch points she wants.
Yeah, but I've
She
had
thinks,
moments though.
he's just going through the motions. He's just trying to. No, sir, I've seen this happen.
And
It's
I have
happened
to.
me.
I have to.
He's fobbing me off because he's busy. He doesn't really want to know about my day. He's checking in with me because he feels he has to. That's what it is.
But again, yes, I say you have to find someone that
Carl
is most compatible with
Carl
you.
says in the comments, I only ask my wife how her day was because she has indoctrinated me into doing it. She used to get upset because I didn't. Who actually cares?
Oh gosh. Is it that bad, guys? Is it that bad?
Listen to.
I feel like you're with people that you hate then, Gareth, honestly.
Terrific Terrible says, no, he doesn't hate his wife. He's just, he's honest enough. They've got to that point in the marriage where he can say to us, this is why he does it. And he's going through the motions with her because he knows it makes her happy.
Wow.
And as a kind husband, he's prepared to do what it takes to make her happy.
Wow.
That's not being dishonest.
But I also think it's that thing. I always say, put it like this. Let's use a great terminology, South Africa. Everybody makes pop here, right? So at this point I go, you just have to be honest with yourself about how you like your pop. And if I go to your house and I'm like, damn, I've never seen butter in pop before, be able to say, I like that. And I'm going to take that and put it into my pop going forward. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to cook their pop differently. So you guys got to find somebody that cooks the way you like it.
I like this.
And vice versa.
You've brought a pop metaphor into love.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's food, man. It's food.
bland
It's where
and
you are.
white.
It's bland and white.
See,
And
here he
it's
is.
food.
I didn't need to stand up for him. Carl says, I love my wife with every fiber of my being. If it makes her happy, it costs me nothing.
Oh, you see, that's special.
Nice.
I see, that's a husband right there. That's a husband right there.
But he did admit she's indoctrinated him.
Yeah, but as a husband right there, because again, at the top of it is honesty, right?
Terrific Terrible says, I had to adjust and learn to live with clutter and an unshowered body in bed. It still irritates me.
Gosh.
And seriously kills a vibe. Sacrifices must be made.
No.
I am also hell to live with.
No.
Wait.
No.
He's
No.
doing that currently.
No. He's saying that's what she does.
No.
If it's a he, I don't even know.
No. For me,
An unshowered body.
yeah, the unshowered body's not up for discussion.
No.
You're gonna get your ass in that shower and you're gonna screw up. Nope.
Oh, come on. You telling me you wouldn't want to get romantic with Oprah after she's been on a
No.
5K jog?
No. I can tell you, I didn't even need to finish that conversation. It's a no. It's a no. A big no. A big no.
How about do 20 minutes on the treadmill?
No, I don't. No. And that's not to say like you know I don't want to. I don't know. Taste your chemicals if you may. That's just so much. I mean, how do you put it? It's like, how do you put it? I mean, how do you put it? It's like, but I'm just saying, take some time to, I don't know, cleanliness, man. It's a big thing, bro. It's a big
Next to
thing.
godliness.
Huh?
Cleanliness is next to
Yeah, I'm just saying,
godliness.
it's a big thing. It's a big thing, G. It's a big thing.
Hey, listen, speaking of these relationships, you watched the Beckham documentary.
Oh, I did, yeah.
You both watched
Oh, yeah,
it.
I did
Okay,
too.
all right,
I
good.
did too.
Tell me what you thought.
I thought it was fantastic.
I'm hearing very good things about
No.
it.
I really thought it was fantastic. But more so, I think for me, it was from
Did you also do
an
the photography thing?
inspirational point of view.
Yeah.
Because I looked at what he's been through, because you think you know this person, you've seen his career, but to see the behind the scenes of what was happening, wild for me. And then I don't know, Posh comes on, I'm just like,
Oh yeah. Posh kind of
Yeah,
ruins it.
okay.
Talking about like terrible wives, but like I know people like her.
Is
But
she
Yeah.
a terrible wife?
no, she's very. I don't know. She's very well put together, but there's something off there. I don't know.
She seems to me like she's very much focused on making the best of everything. She works hard.
Yeah.
She seems to be very committed to him. She's not going to tolerate him messing around.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you do want in a wife. You don't want if it's her and Jada, I'm choosing her.
Yeah.
There's not even a contest.
Well, I mean, I guess she understands it as well, because remember, she's got her own career as well, or had her own career in terms of being in the Spice Girls, and of course her as a designer.
She was more
She knows
entertainment facing more than him.
Yeah, but it's also, I think she understands what it takes to be someone that's after a dream or living that dream.
Are you saying
and to
Jada doesn't
support.
know what it takes?
No, she
Well, I
doesn't.
don't even think it's a matter. I mean, it's fair to say that Will is far more successful than she is.
I think with them, it's much more equal.
Yeah, I think for
And,
sure.
and she
for
has
sure.
talents he doesn't have, and he has
Yeah.
talents she doesn't
Absolutely, I think they
have. She doesn't
complement
try
each
to
other.
get into his world,
Yeah,
and he doesn't try to get into hers. Problem also with Will and Jada is I think that they're both in the same business, and that can be difficult. I know couples where they work together as well. That takes a lot of energy and effort to manage, because you can very easily slip into a situation where either you get very competitive with each other, which is what I think happened with them, or where you're now just spending all your time together. You're together at
and
work,
that's the
you're
thing.
together
Yeah,
at home.
I have no time to miss you for a little bit.
There's no lines. There's no boundary between work and home.
For sure, I agree with that.
Anyway,
Wow.
so you're saying it's a good show to watch?
No, it's a good show
to watch.
Also,
Definitely.
like another thing I realized, so I compared it to the Kanye docu, because the Kanye docu, he always was
I
making
always
a
watch that
docu with
too,
his
yeah.
whole life. But with the Beckham one, the footage is right there, and I grew up watching these moments. Yeah, like I was a bit young, but like you always heard like Bennett, like Beckham. So now when he's talking about how it was like being in that moment, you're like, yo.
Yeah, and also to see how his dad groomed him
Inspirational.
is kind of wild. Like it was just like whoa, and over again, and it's just. But also that crazy moment when the entire fucking United Kingdom wanted to
Turned
kill
on
him.
Yeah,
wanted
exactly.
to
When
kill
he
him
got a red
because-
card in the final, and
Yeah,
then
which-
he cost them the World Cup theoretically.
But
We
I
don't
look
know.
at it. No, but I look at it and I go, you also had penalties to win the thing on your own
Yes,
without me.
But people forget it was just 10 minutes left in the game.
But
They
it's
could have scored, they could have
crazy.
won on penalties.
But anyway,
But we also remember Zidane. What
it's
Zidane did also in the final.
wild, man, wild.
It's the same.
Wild. for me.
Well, Mvuisego says that the Becks complement each other. I love
Yeah,
that.
they do.
Yeah, for sure. I think they genuinely did. But also, I think he was so real. Like that moment in the documentary, he's like, "Babe, come on, tell the truth. What car did your dad drive? Be honest. No. What car did you really
It
drive?
was a normal car.
No, it
Tell
wasn't.
the truth.
Tell
it
the
was a
truth.
Rolls Royce.
It was a Rolls Royce. Tell the truth.
She had a Rolls Royce.
There's also something about how, like, that's not humiliating her, and it's
No, not at all.
It's not
Not at
her
all.
like being awkward and uncomfortable on screen. It's like he's teasing her a little bit,
And that's
But,
literally
like,
what it was.
and he means it well.
Yeah,
It's
for
not like
sure.
when Jada says, "Yeah, well, I was getting involved with August," and he's sitting there going,
I swear he does.
No. But like, also, if there's something I picked up in the docu, right? What
Yeah.
you pointed out about Will, about how Jada just shoves the camera in. Like,
"Oh,
Beckham just pops in and looks at his wife. And
Yeah.
it's not part of the documentary. He's like, no, go away.
And
Yeah.
also, I
It's
mean, they got what,
real love.
4 kids?
Mm.
There's the one girl and there's the 3 boys, and they seem more or less well adjusted.
Yeah.
They don't seem like you could usually tell if especially with celebrities, because their kids are always out there as accessories.
Yeah.
They're always doing things on camera. It's all, it's very much living a life in public.
Yeah.
And if their kids are disasters, that usually is a pretty good litmus test for how the marriage is
Absolutely.
behind closed doors.
But it shows what she had to go through on the other side as well. Because remember, he wasn't living in one country. Can you imagine picking up your kids and your entire family every 2-3 years that the contract is over in Spain, and now we're in America, and now we're in Milan, and you just thought when you get to America, you're like, okay, this is it. And he's just like, actually, I'm going back to Paris. And you just like, so it shows as well how much she sacrificed, I feel,
Well,
on the other
people, you
side.
see, we also only see someone like David Beckham, and we see them doing really well, making lots of money, playing football. And we don't think about how the whole family has to schlep around with him.
Yeah,
and, the kids have to keep changing schools.
Absolutely.
Or whatever
Absolutely.
else. It's like,
And he was just going to training. He wasn't necessarily there taking care of kids. And I mean, fine, we saw in Spain he was trying to drop off these kids, but we know who was doing the job. Okay.
most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, we've run out of time.
Oh boy, is it there already? Oh my gosh.
Dude, it is so nice to catch up with you.
Wow.
It feels like 5 minutes have gone by. It's amazing.
Damn.
I've had such fun. And we
I had fun
did
too.
it all. We went
did it all.
through like giving everyone else marriage advice, even though you and I wouldn't know
Exactly.
our way out of a paper bag. We talked about the Middle East. We talked about Africa. We talked about Jamaica. We've been everywhere. It's so good to see you, and
you
well
too.
done on all the success that you're having.
Thanks, man.
I hope there is even more on the way, and I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
And just keep doing all this incredible stuff, making us proud.
No, thanks, man.
It's amazing.
I mean, for the fans who are listening right now who want a Jamaican accents, I just joined the local soap here as well called Scandal.
Yes.
Yes, I'm on
So
Scandal.
one of the few that's still going, right?
I know. It's actually what number? I think it's number 2 in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1 in its time slot and number 1 in English.
Number 1
So
in
that-
hearts.
In the heart. There you go. Yeah. So and on that show, I use a full-on Jamaican accent the entire time, which was great of the writers and the creatives, because they were like, we just want you to be authentically yourself and as pure as possible. So they literally would translate
Do you
from.
have to tamp it down when you?
Absolutely, man. Because otherwise you wouldn't understand. I mean, there's a difference between language and accent as well. You know, because
people don't
speak the language.
understand if you speak with a thick Jamaican accent the way that you might have to your mother.
Yeah.
A lot of people go, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you end up saying something three, four times.
You know. So, but it was really awesome of them to give me that opportunity to use a Jamaican accent the whole time on that.
Beautiful.
And then something's coming out on Amazon that's called that I think that they announced that yesterday. It's called In Your Dreams. I guess started one of the episodes in that, which is cool as well.
Fantastic.
And I just joined, which I'm not allowed to speak on much yet, but I just joined one of the bigger franchises from the UK.
When are they going to just cast you in one of those love movies that go on those channels with those channels that those romantic soft focus movies? Where you walk around most of the time without a shirt on.
No, we're not doing that.
You fall in love with every woman and she falls in love with you, and there always have piano music in the background. And
no, we're not doing that.
You're not going to do that?
No, we're not doing that.
There's a lot of very disappointed women in the comments.
We're not doing that. I did something similar in Honeymoon that's a local film as well.
That sounds like one of those.
Yeah, Honeymoon discovered, minis in that.
You're always in a bed. You're always in a bed.
Well, no, always is topless. Always is topless.
Always topless.
Yeah,
and usually red silk sheets in those movies, right? And the bed is shaped like a heart.
Like a heart. Yeah, there's also that. There's also that.
There's lots of candles.
Lots of candles. Yeah, lots of candles. But yeah, man, it's always a pleasure, being here. So thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure meeting you, the young gun, and thank you for bringing a young gun. This is awesome. This is awesome.
He, believe it or not, he makes a useful contribution every now and then.
Right? Right. He's saying this.
Very knowledgeable. I know you well enough, Gareth, to know you wouldn't have someone here who's not knowledgeable.
No.
There you go.
He has to fight for his place, and he does. All right. Well, listen, Stevel, very nice to see you, sir.
Thank you, brother.
And we will catch up with you soon.
No, Carlos DeSantis, the accent is not fake. I am born Jamaican, and then grew up in the US for the American bit. And as well, of course, if you need me to use a British accent, it's also there. It's not a problem.
There we go. Roxanne says, love your work, Stevel. Cheers all.
Thank you.
Nice. Okay,
Thanks, guys.
That's how we're going to end it today. Have a happy day, everybody. Cheers. Bye-bye.